Good evening and welcome to BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Fixtures in this league, in any league, don't get much bigger. We have the league champions and the cup champions, and both looking to close in on silverware as we reach the glory phase of the season. It's Hartpury versus Exeter, live from the Gilmans, and who better to join us for this evening's action than a man who has a firm foot in both camps. The captain of Exeter last season, the captain of Hartpury RFC this season, and the man of the match in this fixture this time last year as well. Silencel, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Before we get underway with this evening's proceedings, let's talk about last year. It was my first time commentating on a BSR game. You had a fantastic game. I thought, who better to award the man of the match? Then you went and lost it. That must have been a pretty bitter bottle of champagne.
It was a great game, great for the neutral. I think we were leading by about 10-15 points with 10 minutes to go, and we looked pretty set for it. And then, Elias Caven, the winger for Hartpury tonight, he slotted a kick at the death to put a nail in our coffin. So, frustrating memories of that, but finally got up the nerve to get through that bottle of champagne on New Year's Eve. So it's been sitting there and getting dust for a while, but it has gone.
How did it taste?
Quite bitter.
Okay, let's talk about both camps then. I don't think there's anybody better equipped to talk about them. This is a huge game and it'll mean a great deal to both sides.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been speaking to and knows players in both camps, both look forward to this fixture as the big one. They won't say it publicly, but Hartpury up their game for Exeter. Exeter target Hartpury, and there's it's all friendly. There's no bad blood, but there's a lot of rivalry. It means a lot to both camps. So yeah, they'll be right up for this, especially after what happened at Topsham before Christmas.
Well, of course, we'll come on to that in a minute, but let's take a look at how that rivalry unfolds in the league table. It's pretty reading for Exeter at the moment. They sit at the top of the tree. Cardiff Met are there in second at the moment. Hartpury in third with that game in hand, but of course a victory this evening would propel them close to the top of the summit. Northumbria going about their business in fourth place. Leeds Beckett with a fantastic win, a fourth in a row this evening to secure seventh place, which will mean a home draw in the playoffs. But it's pretty sorry reading for Loughborough, Cardiff and Nottingham Trent at the moment. Trent on the end of another bonus point defeat. They are there at the bottom. So let's take a look at the fixtures happening this evening. As I mentioned, the early kickoff was Trent versus Beckett. Another 40-pointer for Leeds Beckett, who are the dark horses for the whole thing, flying at the moment. And the last time we checked, Cardiff University 14-0 to the good against Loughborough. Really interesting result that, because they could swap places, and whichever team gets into the top 8 will get a home draw come those playoffs. Of course, we're here at Gilmans for Hartpury versus Exeter. Cardiff Met against Bath is another thrilling fixture. Then we travel up north on Friday for that derby, Northumbria versus Durham. Well, Si, can't wait to really pick the bones out of this one with you. But before we do, let's say a huge thank you to Yoti. Their sponsorship, their support is imperative to the success of BUCS Super Rugby. So thank you for everything, and take a look at this to find out what they're all about.
Because I had already set up on the app about 3 months ago actually, when it first came to the island.
I really like how simple it was to use.
It's the kind of convenience we want in this modern age that we live in.
Like, you don't really want to carry your passport around on night out, you're always going to have a phone on you.
The convenience to be able to go up and get my phone and just scan a thing.
It's just easier, you have all your stuff in one place.
It makes life a lot easier when you're trying to prove your age, and it's quite versatile as well.
Thank you once again to Yoti. Without their help, we couldn't have fantastic evenings like this of live rugby, two top sides going toe-to-toe. Now, for you, Si, you've gone from one culture to another, two fantastic rugby cultures. Are there any real differences between them both?
No, and I think that's probably why they're both quite successful. They both demand high standards. They've both got a sort of history and a pedigree at BUCS level rugby, and there are differences in style of play, but they actually play similar systems and similar culture, as I say. So as I said, that Hartpury probably had the upper hand in the last few fixtures in the last couple of seasons, but then going back 3 years, Exeter were the winners at Twickenham. So if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, I think BUCS rugby has been dominated by these two teams, and it's no surprise. They've got great cultures, they've got great talent production line, great coaching, and they like to win. They're used to it.
Speaking of that great coaching, we were lucky enough to catch up with Keith Fleming and Sean Lynn before kick-off. This is what they had to say. Sean, another massive game under the lights here at Gilmans, and dare I say it, a must-win.
You hopefully get that win. Definitely, we know what Exeter are about, and if they win, they can go 6 points clear. So yeah, it's a game that we're looking to get something from and go from that.
Before you faced them last time, there were a few people, definitely not from the Hartpury or the Exeter camp, but saying that Exeter were overwhelming favourites for the league. Your team responded in the best possible way with one of the best wins in the history of the competition. Is that something that's on your mind this evening?
Oh no, Exeter are a very good side, and we might have caught them cold that day, and we know they'll come up here tonight, a different beast, and we're looking forward for an exciting game.
Looking at the side you've selected this evening, there are still a few faces that featured in that fantastic run that got you the championship at the end of last season, but some less experienced, less familiar names as well. Still, well, almost embarrassing strength in depth for you down here.
No, it's great to especially have Alex Gibson back, the tight end. He's been coming back from injury, so it's great to have him back on board. And then you're looking at Paul Morgan. It was his first outing against Exeter away, and he had a good game. And he's gone well since. So that's the nice thing about this league, is getting the strength and depth and giving boys opportunities and letting them take it.
It's been quite a long break since before Christmas, of course. Your game was cancelled last week. Do you think the boys will have benefited for that rest, or do you think it plays into Exeter's hands with their great win at Cardiff Met?
Yeah, we definitely benefited from the rest. It's a very competitive league, and the boys had a lot of knocks and injuries. We could have done with the game being on last week, but you can't tell what the weather's going to be.
Certainly can't, but the pitch looks in pretty good condition. You can hardly separate these two teams in the last few years. What do you think the difference is going to be come 80 minutes?
It is going to be over 85 minutes, and we always have tough encounters with Exeter, and it's just about, we're just looking at keeping our discipline and not making sure Exeter have any ins.
Cheers, Sean. Go well.
Thank you. Cheers.
A few games cancelled last week. There was a lot of focus on your match at Cardiff Met. You had a great win against them before Christmas and a superb one just last week. That's got to fill you with confidence for these final 5 games.
Yeah, I think so. It was a fair old arm wrestle down in Cardiff, and the boys showed a bit of character. We had to fight to stay in there. A few more of our opportunities that we didn't take should have been converted to points, but very happy with the win.
The bigger picture, you're top of the league. However, there is history in this fixture, and last time out it wasn't a particularly pretty picture for Exeter.
No, it wasn't a pretty picture. Neither was the pitch by the time we got off it either. Yeah, no, that's history. That's all gone. We got to focus on the next game, and what we do is try and focus on performance. So we got to try and just keep pushing forward.
The boys have responded fantastically well since that defeat, though.
We've been improving, which is all you can ask, really. As long as we improve week on week, there's no point in peaking too early. So.
The team you've picked this evening, a couple of notable absentees, hopefully nothing too serious with the injuries, but a big chance for lads to step in and make an impact?
Oh, definitely. This is their opportunity now. We got 1 or 2 injured and a couple that that have fallen ill, unfortunately, but it goes with the territory. So these boys have got their chance to step up, stake a claim.
If you can pick up a victory this evening, are you favourites for the league championship?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I mean, the top of the league is pretty well bunched. You've got to take every game as it is until we get to the last one. I can let you know then.
Looking forward to this one this evening. Hope you are too, and go well.
Yeah, no, the fixtures between us and Hartpury have always been huge, and you can guarantee it's going to be a hell of a game. So hopefully both sides will be going at it. It'll be a good game of rugby.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Keith. The last 17 fixtures between these two. Hartpury 8 wins, Exeter 8 wins, 1 draw, and just 14 points separate them. This is how the hosts line up this evening. Luke Boone, Will Biggs and Alice Gibson in the front row. Tom Everard and Angus Soughton in the engine room. Harry Short, Max Clemenson and Harry Holland make up the back row. Ben George and Paul Morgan are the halfbacks. Elias Caven and Irvin Murick are on the wings. Joe Markets and Robbie Smith in the centres. And Jack Johnson starts at full-back. Exeter 3 wins in a row since falling to defeat to 0 against Hartpury. Down at Topsham, line up with Josh Peters, Josh Gosling, captains the side, and Luke Bliss in the front row. Paul Scrota and Lashi Gianni are at 4 and 5. Ollie White on the blind side, Jack Cappan open side, and Rory McMeekan comes in at number 8. Pierre Thompson and Sam Morley at 9 and 10. Matthew Blee on the left wing. Will Hollis and Kieran Kelly at 12 and 13. With Charlie Davis on the right wing. And Joe Elderkin starts at 15 for Exeter. Plenty of firepower on both benches. Liney, Seville, Nkube, Kelland, Burnett, Combs, Burrows and Forrester for the hosts. Hamilton, Folk, Johnson, Morgan, Yates, Bagwell, Basil Gete and Mboj for Exeter. Well, I mentioned how tight it is between these two. They are the dominant forces in student rugby. Si Linsell, you've got a foot in both camps. You've stepped out as a student for Exeter. You've captained the RFC in the championship for Hartpury, and as you mentioned beforehand, massive, massive rivalry, but two brilliant cultures and brilliant sides.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased to both teams, I think, here, but I do think this is one of the biggest fixtures in university rugby in the UK, if not university sport. Two fantastic teams, great pedigree, dominated university rugby for the last few years. So I'm dead excited to sit back as a neutral and watch this, but it's going to be a thriller, especially after what happened at Topsham before Christmas.
Well, here are some of Hartpury's recent results. A tight win against Northumbria seems an eternity ago before dispatching Durham, 41 points to 10. Leeds Beckett were narrowly beaten before they went on their resurgent form, and then there was that back-to-back defeat against Bath, both home and away. Of course, who could forget them putting Exeter away 2-0. That's the first time Exeter have been nil. That's the first time there's been a nil in BUCS Super Rugby. That was a surprise to everyone, but the response from Exeter has been superb.
Yeah, I think that was a surprise to both sides. I don't think Hartpury was. I know Hartpury didn't expect that, and I know Exeter wouldn't have expected that. I think that's the second time Exeter have lost at Topsham in about 4 or 5 years. They like to think of it as a fortress, and I saw Keith Fleming say after the game last week at Cardiff that this week would not be about revenge. I don't buy that. If I was still leading those boys, there'd be a massive emphasis on how much that would have hurt the Exeter boys losing, not only at Topsham, not only by that many points, but also to Hartpury.
Well, that's why we've brought you in, for that kind of honesty, Si. Let's take a look at Exeter's results. They have been the picture of consistency. They've beaten Northumbria, Nottingham Trent, Leeds Beckett, all by similar scorelines. Of course, that Hartpury result, the anomaly, but they've got straight back on the horse, overcoming Trent, overcoming Cardiff Met either side of Christmas. Their consistency, it's bred in the culture, and it's remarkable how they keep churning out those results. They just don't seem to make mistakes.
Yes and no. I can tell you from first-hand experience that Exeter are prone to a slip-up or two, but as that fixture at Topsham will show. But you're right. I think they've been the most consistent team this year, and they were last year, which is why they won the league. So bar the odd slip-up, I think these two, and obviously Cardiff Met are going well, but bar the odd slip-up, these two are two of the most consistent teams in the country.
Counting down to kick off here then, Hartpury versus Exeter. And that's a pretty intimidating tunnel to come through as well. The Hartpury boys keeping it tight. Looking at the fixtures coming up as well, this is a must win for Hartpury if they have got any hopes of lifting that league trophy come the end of the season. We've already touched on it, but it was around about this time last year where you captained Exeter here. You picked up the Man of the Match award, you drank that bitter bottle of champagne, and for 78 minutes you were the best team, but Hartpury still found a way to win.
Yeah, and I think that's the sign of a quality side. They're never beaten until the whistle goes, and Exeter will be wary of that. They've had a couple of games, especially ours, involved in not just here but Cardiff Met away, and a few others that they've lost at the 80th minute. So,
well, out come Exeter in that famous home jersey, the green and white hoops that strike fear into many a side in BUCS Super Rugby. But the silence at the Gilmans is remarkable. But listen to that change as soon as the hosts step up those steps. We've already got the beating of the drum, and it's certainly not to welcome the Exeter replacements.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think there's going to be two key matchups, I think, today. I think Alex Gibson at tight head for Hartpury, it's an unsung position, but he's got 2 BUCS Super Rugby medals, England students caps, and he's featured quite a lot in the championship side as well. So if Gibson can get the upper hand in the scrum, I think Exeter might miss Will Cutbill, who you had on comms last week. Everyone knows how destructive a ball carrier Josh Peters can be, but they'll miss Will Cutbill's scrummaging ability. So I think whoever gets on top in the scrum and driving line out that didn't function so well for Exeter last week could go a long way to deciding this game.
Well, Exeter will get us underway. You mentioned Will Cutbill missing. Exeter are also missing Jack Rouse, who's been instrumental in their success, whether playing at 6 or 8 this season. And away we go, a swing of the left boot. The winner of this match in pole position to take the league table. Still plenty of rugby to come, but we can get a pretty good idea despite how unpredictable this league can be. This will be a first touch for Ben George. Thought he might box that one. In fact, it stayed in play in the first opportunity for Exeter to counter-attack. It was a good take by Joe Elderkin. And Exeter ball in hand inside the Hartpury half. And this will be just what Exeter want to begin with. They go through the phases better than anybody else in the league. As Josh Peters put in the hands on it, and Ollie White, he's come in for Jack Rouse off the bench last week. A good early carry for the young flanker. But the ball went forward, and we're going to get a first look at that set piece that you're going to keep a keen eye on, Si.
Yeah, Exeter getting into their shape nicely there. Everyone knows how Exeter play, it's not a secret. It's very similar to how Exeter Chiefs play in the Premiership, but it's one thing knowing what's coming and another thing knowing how to stop it. So they got into their shape nicely there, but slight knock on at the base by Pierre Thompson that's given us our first sight at that scrum I was talking about.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There are some really unpredictable in this teams in this league, Cardiff University being one of them. You never know which direction it's going to go in, but with Exeter, exactly what we're going to get. And you know that from the first whistle, it's going to be a very difficult 80 minutes. And the first penalty goes Hartpury's way.
Yeah, and I think the first one's key. If you paint a good picture in the first scrum and get dominant, then that's whether consciously or subconsciously, that's in the referee's head. So 1-0 to Hartpury in that area.
Paul Morgan with his first clearance for touch, and a good touch finder it is as well. He's not played every match this season, but did start for Hartpury in that 9-0 victory down at Exeter. Broke the line and set up a lovely try as well. So from our first look at the scrum, we get a look at the line out, and that one not gone according to plan for the Hawks. Well, 2.5 minutes on our clock. Remember, it is a running clock that's not linked in with the referee, but it gives you a pretty good idea. And scrappy, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who this will suit more, whether it'll be Exeter or Hartpury. We'll see. As I say, if the scrum keeps going towards Hartpury, then it'll be a good day for them.
Well, all eyes on this second scrum. The two front rows, we've got Boone, Biggs and Gibson. Sean Lynn before the match said how important it was that Alex Gibson has returned to the side against Josh Pearce, George Gosling and Luke Bliss. It's been mentioned that Will Cutbill's missing. It was Joe Sampfield who started at 3 last week. Bliss favoured in that jersey for this visit to Gilman's. Much more solid from Exeter, and that is a big carry straight at Paul Morgan. Make the 10 tackle.
Yeah, good carry by Will Hollis. I'm sure Exeter will be using him as a bit of a battering ram in that back line today.
Second carry for Ollie White, and Pierre Thompson just changing direction then. I think he got his foot caught up. Prolific try scorer, 8 this season, but usually from a lot closer in, and that's gone to ground. And Hartpury have pounced on it to turn over possession inside the Exeter half, going up the blind side. Just on the edge of the 22. Plenty of width to work with here for the hosts, but they've got the penalty again. Week against Cardiff Met, Exeter's discipline was fantastic, and Cardiff Met were a penalty machine as a result, but that's 2 conceded for the visitors already, and that's something that they'll be keen to rid themselves of.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the side that gives away the most penalties is really going to struggle. and first chance to see how Hartpury's driving line-out goes. I'm sure they'll drive off this.
And they need to secure the ball first. It's better this time. Harry Holland gathers it at the back of the line, and now they can start to move forward. It's broken up, but the ball's still there at the back, and Exeter going backwards. It looks pretty organised here for Hartpury, closing in on that line. Pulled down short. There's a first attack at it. The ball goes to ground, but it's short of the try line. 5 minutes gone here. First real opportunity for the home team. Advantage coming for another penalty. They've got a free shot at this. Do they keep it tight or put the width on it? Robbie Smith waits there. Jack Johnson as well, but they go up the blind side. Soughton. Good cover defence coming in there from Exeter. And now we do go for the penalty. There was the thought of going quickly then.
I think they'll go for the corner again. That was just a few inches short. If you look at the way Hartpury constructed that driving line out, Norses like me get a bit excited about that. Basically what you want to try and go around the back of Exeter without getting spun out, and Hartpury did that really well. They got in behind Exeter, they stayed square, and then just came up short. But if they can rebuild that, it should be successful.
Well, looks like a rinse and repeat here. Will Biggs 1 from 2 in the line-outs in the opening 6 minutes. Again, they go towards the back, and again Hartpury can set 5 metres out. Plenty of bodies in there from Exeter. Good counter drive, so Hartpury force, lovely inside ball, and that's going to be the opening score. Elias Caven runs a fabulous line. Hartpury 5, Exeter 0.
Yeah, and then we see the other side of how a driving line-out can be effective. Really good tail ball, that's where you want to win a line-out, and it sucked in Exeter, and then by sucking in those numbers the space appeared. So good line by Elias Caven there.
And of course, when you do move the ball, can often catch a team cold. Exeter are expecting the drive. They just defended one. It was smart execution there, lovely inside ball from Morgan, and he's got the opportunity now from just in front of the sticks to make it Hartpury 7, Exeter 0, which he duly converts. 7 minutes gone, Hartpury 7, Exeter 0, and just the start the home team wanted.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, I don't think that would decide the game, but it's certainly good momentum for Hartpury. But as we saw last year here, this match won't be decided in the first 10 minutes.
Elias Caven running a great line there. Got a couple of tries from Exeter. Let's take another look at the try then. A couple of interesting lines run by defenders there from Hartpury.
Yeah, I mean that's not my forte. That I'll take guys running off 9 round the breakdown, but get me in those outside channels I'll struggle. So I'll comment on the driving line out instead.
That is the voice of Si Linsell joining us on co-commentary today as that gets charged down. You're very often vulnerable after you score a try, but Alex Gibson picks up the pieces there. If that had gone Exeter's way, then Hartpury would have been under pressure. As it stands, Ben George will box to relieve pressure again. Thompson sniping round the fringes there. Elderkin gathers again, doesn't fancy the collision himself. Oh, monster hit there on Paul Scroter. Expect plenty of those throughout the course of the evening. Thompson digs again, not particularly quick ball, so Jayani puts his head down, trundles in between 10 metre and halfway.
Yeah, Lasher has got a suitable name for a university rugby player. He's also got Georgia under-20s caps, so he's got a bit of international experience in the Exeter squad today.
Yeah, the tough old boys, those Georgians as well.
That's what Exeter will do in that middle third. They won't be afraid to go through 10, 15 phases and not really go anywhere necessarily, maybe gain the odd yard, but they're happy to just play and wait for the defending team to make a mistake or give away a penalty. So that's exactly what Exeter were looking for there.
Great crowd as always at Gilman's. We just saw they brought the orchestra. I expect to hear plenty from them. Not sure what the tunes or the rhythm will be like, but they'll certainly bring the noise. You mentioned that discipline and the phases. It really stood out for me when they went up to Headingley to play Leeds Beckett, and they must have gone through 20 phases when they were a metre out, and you just knew they weren't going to make a mistake. Come those tight games, those playoff games later on, it's going to take a fantastic performance to get around them. But they've got to get through tonight first. Following this visit to the Gilmans, it's 4 home games, and if they could get something this evening, it could well be back-to-back league wins.
Hollis again. He'll run that hard line all day. I think him and Kelly are a nice sort of combination together in the centres. Hollis is a hard runner, and Kieran Kelly's got the distributing powers of someone like Ted Landry last year. Morley and Ted Landry, that axis went really well. I think Kieran Kelly stepped well into that second playmaker role this year.
McMeekin, as Josh Peters has a little snipe. He really does have a nose for the try line. Peters 5 tries this season, including a hat-trick. Here's Luke Bliss. Jack Capon has got men in behind him. Goes more sideways than forwards, but 6 metres short now in front of the sticks. First visit to the 22 for Exeter. And we know they can go through phases here and grind their opponents down as more big men make half a metre. They've got options either side should they decide to go there. And again, they go through the motions, and Harry Holland makes the tackle low down for Hartpury. Capon waits again. It's 3 metres now. 11.5 minutes gone as Exeter drive towards the line. There's that extra bit of force, but again, Harry Holland's there really putting in a shift to try and chop the league leaders down at source. It's slow, arduous work here, but they're making ground. They've gone 20 metres sideways to get 2 metres forward, and again it's Holland making the tackle. Keep your eye on Pierre Thompson here. Loves a snipe from short. He's staying well out of it at the moment, but as soon as there's the sniff of the try line, expect him to be there. Up the blind side. Oh, just short of the line. Scrota's in there. Hartpury appealing for something, but getting no change out of the referee. Oh, they fancy it now to Exeter. There are Hartpury bodies in there desperately trying to hold Exeter up. All they have to do is dot it down, but they're short again. About a metre away from the touchline on this right-hand side. But the referee brings them back for the advantage. Mistake-free rugby from strong athletes takes some stopping.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not pretty, but Exeter, I lost count there, probably went through nearly 15-20 phases, and not necessarily the prettiest rugby, but Exeter can do both. Their backs can open up, but when they get 5 metres out, as you'll see with the Chiefs in the Premiership, they will pick and go and wait for that penalty or that try to come.
Well, George Goslin, the skipper, has a powwow with Josh Peters. And we could have something for you to get excited about here, Si, because I'm expecting this one to be caught and driven, and that is exactly what's happened. There's
a failed sack there from Hartpury.
And now
they're in trouble here.
They're a man down as it's creeping towards the line. Extra bodies go in. The centres join. The wingers join. There's nobody there on the blind side for Exeter, but they're not going to need them. They're over the line, and that's the first score.
Yeah, as I said, sorry for interrupting you there, Dave, but Hartpury tried to sack the jumper there, and you're allowed to do that instantaneously, but if it's late, then obviously it's pulling down the maul, and if you fail, then you're really in trouble. And Hartpury failed the sack there. Exeter stayed strong, as soon as you fail a sack, you're in trouble, especially 5 metres from your line.
A fantastic response from going 7-0 down. And it was over pretty quickly as soon as they set that drive and started to go forward, but it was all about the graft that went in before that to earn the penalty.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard work, but apart from a miracles turnover there from the likes of Max Clementson or someone on the Hartpury team, I had a feeling that was going one way. Once Exeter get at 5 metres out, there's normally one outcome. Although that's something they didn't necessarily do against Cardiff Met last week, so they'll be hoping to capitalise on more of those opportunities this week.
Well, they certainly had the best of the territory and the possession against Cardiff Met, but really had to work hard for that bonus point win, that 1 point win, and they're going to be all square after a pure strike by the left boot of Sam Morley. Game on here. Hartpury 7, Exeter 7. Let's take another look at them getting the ball down here. Look, everyone was involved there. We had Hollis, Charlie Davis got stuck into.
I think it was Will Hollis who scored.
It was, wasn't it? Will Hollis got his hands on the ball. After all that, a centre getting on a forwards try. That's out of order, that is. 15 minutes gone. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. A sliced clearance means that Exeter back under the cosh in their own half. And Will Biggs has been on target since missing with his first line out. Another nice ball at the back again, and Hartpury can come forward. That's Joe Margetts, gets it out of the back door and finds Paul Morgan, who likes a carry from 10. Tom Everard gets driven back, carry from the second rower. He was involved in the final last year, but only from the bench as Luke Boone trundles forward. This good fast ball here from Hartpury. This is what they like as Robbie Smith takes them into the 22. There's Ben George. That flat pass on, short ball from Morgan. Bring the big men into play and get more quick ball, which they have done in these phases. There's a try scorer, Caven. Comes in field looking for work, but doesn't take the ball at any kind of pace. Here's Soughton. Resolute defence here from Exeter. Luke Boone gets his head down. He is a man mountain. He gets any yards up. Nice offload there to bring Ben George back into the game, but Hartpury going backwards a bit here. Max Clemenson takes the carry. Here's Johnson. Has a little look out the back door, but he takes and bring it down. Oh, gets it away, but it goes into touch. Harry Short not quite on the same wavelength, but nice attempt there from Johnson to keep the ball alive.
Yeah, I mean, he lost it there, but keep an eye out for Jack Johnson. He is he is a really destructive runner from deep at fullback, so that will be the first time he gets on someone's outside shoulder. But also great calling so far from Angus Southern. He's won 2 tail balls, which is the best place to win it.
Oh, that's been overthrown as well, and Gibson offloads to Clemenson, who goes in for the second. You cannot make a mistake at this level because it will be punished, and Hartpury have got their noses back in front. Hartpury 12, Exeter 7.
Yeah, great try from Max Clemenson. He's actually sponsored by Ambrosia, the custard maker. So well done to him and his sponsors.
How dare he? Hartpury 12, Exeter 7. You said at the very top of the match how important the set piece was going to be. An overthrow there. It's like pushing the bomb on yourself. Lovely awareness from Gibson to see Clemenson outside him, but unforgivable really from Exeter.
Yeah, that's bread and butter stuff. Keith will not be happy about that. Keith Lennon will not be happy. But hey, we've just seen it. It can be it can go one way and then the other. So I expect Exeter to hit back now. But great awareness there from Alex Gibson. He's good distributor as well as scrummager, and then top finish from Clemenson.
Well, Morgan makes it 2 from the tee. Hartpury 14, Exeter 7. Of course, this one of 4 matches happening this evening. The same time as this, Cardiff Met entertain Bath at King Coyd. There's a match on Friday as well. Really interesting one too. We've got Durham away at Northumbria. Leeds Beckett have made it 4 wins in a row by putting 40 points on Nottingham Trent today, as we've got a lovely counter run to take Exeter back into the Hartpury half. And the last time we checked at half-time, it was Cardiff University 14, Loughborough 7 in the battle for the top 8. Oh, that's a great read in the line, and now Hartpury are back on the front foot again. Robbie Smith picks it up.
Yeah, great read by Irvin Murich there. Fantastic read. Kieran Kelly didn't stand a chance. Although another great read from Paul Scroter there.
Oh, that's it. Here is Irv the Swerve. Become a bit of a cult hero in BUCS Super Rugby. 7 tries so far. Oh, a little dummy there from Alex Gibson. Not sure he fooled anyone, but gets over the gain line. And Morgan hoists it into the night sky. It's a good take by Matthew Blee as well with the headband on. Not always the easiest to take out of these floodlights. It is in complete darkness for a second. Some deft hands there from Capon. Dishes it to Jay Arney, and sniped there from Thompson is a very physical ball carrying scrum half. When you see him up close, he's a lot bigger than you expect a 9 to be. Quarter of the way through this. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Hartpury took the lead, Exeter equalised. Well, that's been ripped as well, legally, says the referee. Great jackal. And all of a sudden the tempo is increased in this one. That dab isn't going to go to touch, so Charlie Davies is going to have to chase back. There's a little bit of time and relieves for touch, but a bit of a frantic few phases there.
Yeah, fantastic hit by Paul Morgan. You know, he found grass, it didn't go out, it didn't go dead, and Hartpury have gained about 20 metres from that, so that's a perfect example of how to execute a kicking game.
Well, that's the read from Murick. Came rushing over the line. Of course, that is a gamble, but when it comes off, pays dividends. Well, Exeter send a man up there. In fact, George Gosling's lifting in the line out. Neither of them took it cleanly, but it was enough to put Hartpury off. And Exeter take the ball into contact through Scrota. Somebody is currently getting a rollicking for parking their car illegally, which is going to be great when they have to walk out in front of this stand here. But there is Murick again, cannonballing into contact. There's a hand on that from Gosling. Exeter warned off that one by the referee as Alex Gibson gets shoved towards the contact zone.
Yeah, good refereeing there. It's always a grey area. That I like it when a ref explains and gives you a chance to get back on side when it can be uncertain.
Again, deft hands from Will Biggs. Those little tips from the forwards. Going well so far for Hartpury. And under pressure, Ben George hacks it into an Exeter man. And we'll reset with a scrum.
I'd expect Alex Gibson to really attack this scrum here, put to use that size and that technique and that bags of experience he's got, but also Josh Peach's bags of experience at Loosehead. I think he's gone into his 5th year at Exeter now, and people told me I needed to move on, but it was about time he left, I think.
Every BSR team's got a Van Wilder. It's been on as even at the scrum thus far though. If it does start to creak for Exeter, they've got the option of Matt Johnson, who often comes on in the second half. Speaking of men mountain, really is a big lump is Johnson. But laws of physics state he's pretty tough to move. After being on as even, Hartpury's lungs stuck around for a little bit longer and they managed to win the penalty there. Paul Morgan has stolen about 5 metres on that one with his run up. And that's a lovely kick that's taken Hartpury back into the 22.
If you don't get caught, it's legal, so good play there from Paul Morgan.
Still Cardiff 14, Loughborough 7. Cardiff with a brilliant win last week against Bath. Loughborough leaving it too late to get anything from Northumbria. They were 19-0 down, brought it back to 19-12. But if Cardiff can hold on there, they leap above Loughborough into 8th place in the league, which in your first season of BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti would be quite the achievement. Will Biggs for Hartpury. There's Max Clementson, scorer of the second try. Good territory here for Hartpury as Harry Holland puts his head down, but he's met by 2 big tacklers. Josh Peters dishing it there. Gibson waits. It's going to be Everard with the carry. Biggs and Clementson. Exeter managing to slow Hartpury down here. Hartpury have looked dangerous when the ball has been quick as Scrota tries to get his hands on that one. Morgan round the corner and there's Margetts forced wide, and Jack Johnson adds some weight. Exeter doing their best to hold the man up here, but he finds the floor. Full time score now. Cardiff 20, Loughborough 7. It's back-to-back wins for Cardiff University, and they go to a season-high 8th place in BUCS Super Rugby and put themselves in pole position for a home draw in the playoffs. In a very, very difficult league, Cardiff University are really doing themselves proud in this opening season.
Yeah, I think in your first season in BUCS Super, you're always going to struggle to get used to the pace, the physicality, and the amount of games that you're going to have to play in BUCS Super Rugby. But no, you're right. I mean, that's a well-deserved result, and I'm sure they'll pick up some more before the end of the season. Good to see them doing well.
Especially after being caught short just before Christmas, where the worst kept secret in BSR, all their front row had booked themselves on the university ski trip, so they came here to the Gilmans and got 50 points put on them. Brilliant response by Alan Wynne Davis's men, back-to-back victories, and they are in 8th place.
For me, just another bit of line-out nosing here, I'm afraid. Hartpury are winning tail ball far too easily. If you're defending a line-out, they're going to win it easily. Give it to them at the front. Tail ball, some of the best ball to attack off. And Angus Southern is having an easy day, just picking off easy tail ball. And I think Scrota and Gianni need to get up in the air more.
Well, the last scrum ended in a Hartpury penalty. I think we got a flash up to say it was actually Cardiff University 20, Loughborough 14 at full time, which means Loughborough do pick up that losing bonus point, but will not affect the fact that Cardiff jump above them in the league. Now, Hartpury trying to turn the screw here, and the front row pop up for Exeter, but the referee pops up with a penalty in favour of the Greens.
Yeah, that's 50-50 for me. I think Luke Bliss popped up there and could have gone either way, but Exeter will be glad to get one back on Hartpury, but potentially a lucky one.
A lot of pressure coming on in that front row. There's Morley, sweet left boot finding touch. Just the one opportunity from the tee for him that he converted. And a few wear patches just starting to turn up on this pitch. It's in quite good condition. It's taken a lot of abuse these last couple of weeks though. Wind and rain and snow, so the ground staff have done a great job to keep it as playable as it is. Oh, there's a dummy and go there. Pierre Thompson fancied it. He's on 8 tries this season. There are another 2 on 8 tries. So one today would take him to the top of the tree. What a rip that is. Turning the game on its head, and Will Biggs picks up the offload. And Exeter just not being able to get up ahead of steam as Robbie Smith looks to release Jack Johnson, who takes Hartpury back into the Exeter half. Margetts gets himself in a bit of trouble. Gets the ball away though. There's some footwork from Morgan, but all of a sudden Exeter, having lost the ball, seem to have turned up the heat in defence. They've driven Hartpury back at the last 3 or 4 contacts.
Yeah, good dominant collisions from Exeter. Keep an eye out for Jack Capon, he'll be putting those in all day.
And there's the box over the top. It's quite a flat one, but the chase comes on. Oh, and that's well taken on the right hand side. Charlie Davis, he's being held up by Morgan, but
that's a really horrid kick to field for Elderkin now. Spot on from Ben George, brilliant kick, and luck of the bounce meant Elderkin was okay, but that could have gone either way.
very different box kick this time, high into that night sky, and chance for Johnson to counter attack, but another dominant collision. 3 Exeter men driving him back. It's lung busting work in defence, but it's working thus far as Exeter try and force a way back into this. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti as we approach half an hour. Again, Hartpury box up that channel, but that kick's returned with interest. Won't find touch, but Johnson puts boot to ball just inside the 22, outside the tram lines. Elderkin, knowing that 15 isn't home, picks out Elias Caven instead. Bit of football in there from Charlie Davis. Lovely touch. And at the moment, the forward's just running shuttles in the middle of the park. Caven gets fed up of the kicking game, takes it into contact.
Yeah, it might seem boring, but there is some method to that madness, the kicking game, and depending on where this goes, it could be a net gain for either team. I know Exeter do a lot of work with their kicking coach Stu Allred, and Hartpury do too.
Well, there's the charge down. Which way is that going to go? Oh, Hartpury have managed to recover it again, but great pressure on Ben George. It's the second time Exeter have got hands on a kick, but Hartpury have got away with it on both occasions. Pierre Thompson gets caught out by the bounce. Change of tack this time and turns Murick inside out. He's under pressure now. Oh, manages to get rid of the first tackle and the second. He is such a live wire on the ball. Eventually Kieran Kelly makes the tackle. Here's Holland. Wants to put Caven through the gap, but that's drifted forward. Then Exeter win the arm wrestle.
Yeah, as I say, that kick tennis was for a reason, and it's a net gain for Exeter, but I think they're lucky there. Hartpury had an overlap, and I didn't see if that was forward or not.
And there's Holland.
Yeah, potentially 50-50.
Difficult to tell.
Well, they had that overlap there. If Elias Caven gets that out, Hartpury are away.
The referee George Salewood was in a great position for that one. Got a Hartpury player taking a knee on the 22. Always a great crowd here at Gilman's. Second team were playing on the artificial pitch just behind this main pitch. Beforehand, another victory for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of rugby that gets played around here. You were saying about the state of the pitch, I think it's actually pretty good. It gets about 3 games a week on it. They've got the college ace team, they've got the men's championship team, the women's Tyrrell's premiership team, and then you've got the BUCS teams as well. So there are more pitches the other side of this stand, but this is the main one, and it sees a lot of rugby. So it's in pretty good nick, especially for this time in February.
Remarkable, really. As is the production line. You mentioned the ace team there, but it seems as though, that's a foregone conclusion. What is it, 9 ace wins in 10 years now, but so many of those players then go on to play BUCS Super Rugby, even end up in the championship team as well. It's a wonderful rugby culture here at Hartpury. And they are 7 points to the good again. The scrum is stock still as Pierre Thompson waits for some action and pushes Ben George out the way. And again, the penalty goes Exeter's way. That's a couple they've got now.
Yeah, this will be going straight into the corner. Exeter not going for the corner and back in that driving wall that we've seen so successful.
Good kick as well, takes them to 8 metres from the line. The same side that they got that opening score. First job for George Gosling, find your jumper. Keep your eye on those backs as well. Charlie Davis and Will Hollis joined the party last time. There it is, ball at the front. That's a great start as well. Oh, Hartpury at 1s and 2s. Exeter marching towards the whitewash, and that's the second try.
Yeah, another chance for me to talk about line-out, so I'm chuffed. That is, it's a brave tactic from Hartpury. If you can pull it off by not engaging with the maul, then you can go round the back and pick the ball off. But what Paul Schroeter did is actually a very sloppy line-out from Exeter. But what Paul Schroeter did really well is he held on to the ball at the front, and as long as he's carrying the ball, then it's not obstruction. So it's a technical point around the laws there, but both teams knew what they were doing, and Exeter executed it better.
Well, it was a big gamble from Hartpury that didn't pay off. The moment it started moving forward for Exeter, we knew they were in trouble. Max Clementson diving all over it. Let's take another look at it now.
Yeah, see, if Paul Schroeter here passes the ball towards the back of the maul, then Max Clementson can take it off him. But the fact that Paul Schroeter still has the ball means that they are not obstructing him, and then once you're going forward, there's no stopping that. So good knowledge of the laws from Exeter there.
Has Scroter got that down, or has Luke Bliss?
One of the two. I'm sure they'll be arguing about it on the bus on the way back, but it's another 5 points for Exeter.
And Sam Morley with the opportunity to level things up here. We expected it to be close. And that's going to sneak inside the near post as well. Lovely strike from Morley. Hartpury 14, Exeter 14, game on.
Yeah, fantastic kick from Morley. That's right out on the touchline with a potentially intimidating crowd. And that's a real pressure kick. So fantastic kick from him. 14-all.
BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. 5 minutes until half-time. Hartpury have taken the lead twice, and Exeter have patiently responded both times. And they put boot to ball again. Johnson takes this one with a little bit of space, but instead opts for the pass this time, and Harry Holland takes the contact.
Yeah, I'd like to see it from a Hartpury point of view. I'd like to see Jack Johnson have a go there. He's really dangerous on that counter-attack. But Exeter's line speed was good, their kick chase was good, and they brought in. But keep an eye out for Jack Johnson. He can be very dangerous in those positions.
Well, Johnson is one of those players who's graduated through ACE, through BSR, and has turned out for the championship side this season as well. Another chance here for Exeter. And as they were waiting for the referee's whistle there, I think Paul Scroter's hit the deck quite hard. And if he is awarded it, one for the dubious tries committee. It's his third of the season, Paul Scroter, as Exeter can come up the blind side here, and Ben George called into action defensively. Thompson sends Luke Boone towards the contact zone. It flies out of the back. Is that high on Thompson? Referee happy to let play continue. Just out of shot as well. Someone's lost either a boot or a cap. Somebody's a bit of kit down anyway, as Hollis again charges, hits that gain line so hard. Oh, massive tackle on Elderkin. Bit of a hospital pass. No surprise that it was Irvin Murick who was on the other end of it, as Scroter, the try scorer, gets his head down.
Great ball.
Nearly through the gap there. Nice handling from Hollis. Bit more urgency about this particular Exeter attack. Now they look to put some width on it. We've got Scroter waiting on the outside. Oh, I'm not entirely sure he believed that he had the pace then. Almost put the brakes on. Nothing better in rugby than a galloping second row in space.
Who's that? I think that was Swervin Irvin. Someone got a brilliant turnover on the far side there. That's fantastic defence from Hartpury, as Exeter were looking to go into their motions and go through their system.
And there is the orchestra. Enjoying the evening here. It's a little bit milder than I expected it to be actually. Last week it was bitterly cold. But good conditions, especially for the time of year. And we're being rewarded with a great match as we approach half-time. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti.
Yeah, this is too close to call at the moment. Two packs going toe-to-toe. Another tail ball from Hartpury. Exeter need to start getting up there.
Well, the one time they did go up to contest it, they didn't get hands on it, but they did enough to disrupt the ball. So I'm surprised they haven't stuck with that. Will Biggs in control at the back. Good 10 metres made here before Biggs tries the offload. No need to go out of the back door there. The referee said it had gone backwards. I wasn't sure, but the big ref in the sky has levelled it out, and it's Exeter ball.
Yeah, two conflicting defence systems here. They're both going quite well. Hartpury are not afraid to go and have a jackal and look for a turnover and get the holding on penalty. But Exeter have a big philosophy of leaving the breakdown alone, having 14, 15 men on their feet and waiting for a mistake to happen. And you've seen both styles of defence, as it were, pay off in different ways. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the most mileage out of it today.
Will Biggs here, Ben George telling him exactly where he wants it, and then just pops it out of the back door.
Yeah.
Could this be the last attack before half-time? Hartpury really turning the screw, and Alex Gibson's popped up, but the referee letting them get away with it. Morley, Hollis, here's Elderkin. Good cover tackle there, Robbie Smith, the man.
Another carry from Rory McMeekin. I've lost count, he's already put in nearly 10, I reckon. He's a complete workhorse there, Rory is. Duracell battery, and he leads from the front. He's the club captain down at Exeter this year, and he really leads in every facet of the club.
And he's come in at 8 for Jack Rouse today, who does a very similar job, and you wonder whether or not they'd miss a player of his calibre at this level, but McMeekin has been superb for 40 minutes. Our clock's gone red. That does not mean the referees has, and Sam Morley has a dart himself, tries to get the hands free, and Ben George tries to slow things down. Great opportunity here for Exeter, just outside the 22, with what will be the last phases of the first half, as Scroter goes through, finds the pass, and Ollie White goes in under the sticks. Exeter lead for the first time on the stroke of half-time.
Yeah, Exeter will be well chuffed with that. Really nice bit of play, and they're not just a forward dominated pack. If you look at that, it's a lovely pass, lovely line, and then great support play from Ollie White, the fresher, who's making a good impact in this first 15. I think Max Clementson was missing there, and that's a big defensive presence for Hartpury. To make those tackles, they're 7. He was down receiving treatment, and I think Hartpury missed him there.
Well, we've seen two sides of Paul Scroter on the attack in the last couple of minutes. He was in space on the wing and ran out of steam, but their great vision. A little dart to get through the gap, and Ollie White was on the shoulder to dot down under the sticks, and Sam Morley adds the extras. Referee blows his whistle for half time as well. Exeter lead for the first time 21-14, and after that mistake that meant they were behind, I think Keith Fleming will be much happier than half time than he thought he was going to be after 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that one try that Hartpury got, it was a bit of a gift from Exeter. Well finished, completely well finished by Hartpury, but Exeter will be gutted with that overthrow from George Goslin. But it's a fascinating game, and it's too close to call.
Certainly is. Hartpury 14, Exeter 21 is the half-time score. 5 tries in total, all of them converted. Let's take a look at those 5 tries and some of the highlights from a fascinating first half. It was Hartpury who got out of the gates the quicker of the two. Si, you were particularly excited by this one. This is the kind of rugby that really gets your juices flowing.
Yes, well, I used to be ghosting through here like Eli when I was about in under 10s, maybe playing at 15, but I'm more accustomed to driving line outs and pick and goes these days.
But before that, it was the drive for Hartpury that fooled Exeter into a false sense of security, but this was their response once again. They've been famous for this, not just this season, but in seasons gone by. It's mistake-free rugby, and when you get that many big, powerful athletes moving in the same direction, it's pretty tough to stop. Although, Will Hollis sneaking in and grabbing a forwards try, I'm still not happy about it.
Yeah, no, they have a tendency to do that, pinch them at the last minute, but Exeter won't care who scores it. It's normally George Goslin taking the easy ones, and I'm sure he won't mind someone else getting the credit. This is the one that will really annoy Keith Fleming, this overthrow from Gozzi. Doesn't need to hit double top there if Hartpury is staying down, and really well picked off by Alex Gibson and Max Clementson.
Yeah, nice line from Clementson. You could say that's a missed tackle by Morley, but you're not expecting to make that tackle.
Yeah, no, if you're caught unawares there, then as you say, you're not expecting to make it. You're flat-footed, and that's not necessarily Sam Morley's fault. This is impressive from Exeter. Good knowledge of the laws, as I said.
We've got a couple of replays of this. See if we can get conclusive as to who actually dotted it down. I've given it to Scroter because I think he deserves it. He's got his hands on the ball there. As Luke Bliss just about pinched it. Maybe he has. Gets the congratulation from Scroter, so maybe that was Luke Bliss's try after all. But Scroter has had a key hand in 2 of the tries. I mean, this one here, as you said, how aware do you think he'll be? Will he have got a shout there, or does he just take a look around and keep hold of it?
Yeah, no, if you see Lasha Jayani there, he's pointing he's talking to the ref, and he's pointing at Paul Scroter, telling the ref that Paul's still got the ball. So he'll be helped out. And also, if you look at Paul Scroter there, he looked over his shoulder to check if they were engaging or not. So it's a bit down to Paul and a little bit down to his support from Lasha. So good teamwork for that try. Paul's someone who's really impressed me coming through last year. Look at this. He's a good ball carrier, he's a good tackler, and he can distribute as well. He's sort of flown through the freshers, through the second 15, and by the end of last season was really cementing his place in the first 15, so it's good to see him coming through. Well,
he sent a couple of Hartpury lads for dinner with that dummy. He's gone straight through the gap.
Great singing voice as well.
Really?
Yeah, best singing voice in the club.
Perhaps we'll get him after the game to give us a rendition of something. But Ollie White gets the score. Morley with all 3 conversions, and it is advantage Exeter. They lead here at Gilman's 21-14. They were involved in a humdinger last week as well. They beat Cardiff Met for the second time in succession, 27-26. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from last week's match.
Miken before Luke Northmore, the man we've mentioned a couple of times, the man who set up the first try, picks off a floating pass in the midfield. But they're remaining composed. They squared across a bit more, and there is the try finally. What pressure Exeter are under. It goes right. A dummy over the top, one bounce, collected by the winger, an offload, and Tom Benjamin gets across the line for that sweet, sweet try that's going to take them into the lead, surely.
Move back! It's over the line, no. That's held up, that's held up! And they
If that doesn't make tries of the week, I don't know which sort of try would.
It was so much easier because I had already set up on the app about 3 months ago actually when it first came to the island.
I really like how simple it was to use.
It's the kind of convenience we want in this modern age that we live in.
Like, you don't really want to carry your passport around on night out, you're always going to have a phone on you.
The convenience to be able to go up and get my phone and just scan a thing.
It's just easier, you have all your stuff in one place.
It makes life a lot easier when you're trying to prove your age, and it's quite versatile as well.
Well, if you're enjoying this and you're joining us for the first time, or if you're a seasoned BUCS Super Rugby pro, then why not join myself and Joe Burns on the BUCS Stops here. We try and get together every week, but we've had a bit of a sabbatical over Christmas as the kilos have got the better of me. But we're back on track now. We recorded a great episode yesterday, and we talked through as much as we can, not just about what goes on week to week, but what players past and present are up to as well. We're on SoundCloud, as you can see there, but we're also on Acast and Spotify as well. All the mod cons, Apple and iTunes are still beating us, but the BUCS Stops here. We've had you on, haven't we, Si?
Not live, no. I've sent in the odd message, but haven't been on for a chat yet.
Well, that's it. You've signed yourself up now. Anyway, here are the matches coming up. We'll be bringing you at least one live match a week from now until the end of the competition. We're back here next week. It's Hartpury once again. Of course, it's Hartpury versus Exeter this evening, but those are some dates for your diaries. The quarter-finals, they're yet to be drawn. They are on Wednesday, March the 20th. The semis are the 27th, and then the Twickenham final, April the 10th. You've not been on the right end of a Twickenham final, but what an occasion for the players that get the opportunity to be involved.
Yeah, it's a fantastic occasion, and it's it's what everyone is aspiring to, and everyone trying to put it out their mind until the end of the season. But if you get the chance to be there, it's fantastic. And as you say, I was unfortunately on the losing side in 2017, and was on my year abroad in 2016 when Exeter won it. So don't know what it's like to lift the trophy, but I've heard from the Hartpury boys here and on many occasions what it feels like, so they won't let me forget, unfortunately.
Well, that is the league as it stands. Exeter 49 points, Cardiff Met 44, Hartpury 43. I maybe unfairly described Cardiff Met as Tottenham Hotspur a little bit earlier in the week, in so much that they're close to the top of the league, but it doesn't feel like they're in the title race. Hartpury essentially need to win this match if they're going to lift that league trophy.
Yeah, I think nothing's concrete here, and you saw how well Cardiff Met did in the BUCS final last year, pushing Hartpury close. And although if you look before Christmas, the league was very congested. I'd say there are maybe a runaway 3 there. I wouldn't write Cardiff Met off too soon, but you're right. I think if Exeter get a couple more wins and then carry that momentum into a number of home fixtures, Keith Fleming won't like me saying this, but they've got to be favourites.
Well, he was tight-lipped when I interviewed him before the match, but they've got 4 home games after this. Let's take a look at Hartpury's fixtures. They've got 2 against Cardiff Met, and they will be key. They travel up to Loughborough, who, despite not being in particularly good form, you cannot write off, especially as some of their National 1 players start to creep into that BUCS Super Rugby side. And then they've got a couple against Nottingham Trent, home and away, because, of course, one of those a rearranged fixture that they lost last time around. So still 5 games after this. When you do lose a game, it does become a congested fixture calendar, but that does give you the chance to build some momentum.
Yeah, and I think the snow we had, hopefully there's not much more, because it can be a nightmare, especially as you start having to go into holiday time and potentially exam time, because you've got to remember these guys are full-time students as well. So that snow can be a nightmare, and I know Hartpury weren't too happy about having to postpone it. No one's fault, just the weather, but you're right, that's a congested end of season there for Hartpury.
Sometimes those rugby gods smile on you, sometimes they frown. This is what Exeter have. They're already at the top of the league, and no matter what happens this evening, they will leave Gilman's still in pole position. Then they have Loughborough at home, Durham at home, Bath at home, Cardiff at home, and of course that Durham match is the one at Sandy Park as well. You couldn't ask for 4 fixtures like that, having to defend a lead at the top of the table.
I mean, the fact that they're home, you're right, but Cardiff are new boys to the league, so no disrespect in saying this to them, but Loughborough, Durham and Bath traditionally are some of Exeter's biggest rivals. Not playing Bath at Sandy Park this year, but Bath is a big rival. Loughborough traditionally massive rivalry. Everyone down in Exeter has it in for Loughborough, and we right up for that. And Durham, another big rivalry. So yes, they're at home, but they're 3 or 4 potentially really big games. That and Exeter, as I said, from first-hand experience, we know the odd banana skin. So I wouldn't say it's over yet.
Well, the team's back out. The hosts in your picture now need a massive 40 minutes. They were behind for the majority of this fixture last year, as the man next to me, Silence, knows oh so well, but they are never ever out of a match at this level. They'll be attacking the try line to your left in the second half. There's the outside half, Paul Morgan, drafted in for this one. Not had a lot of opportunity in open play where he really thrives.
Oh wait, just waiting for that ball, sorry.
Fascinating 40 minutes to come. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Referee George Salewood puts his whistle to his lips. We're back underway. Gone pretty deep from the restart as well.
Hold 6.
And that's returned with interest.
That's a fantastic kick from Pierre Thompson. He's another person who's sort of come through the second 15 last year and cemented his place as the starting line for the first this year. So, and that's the reason why he's got a great kicking game.
I'll find out.
But they've also got the experience of someone like Aaron Bagwell on the bench, who's been playing first 15 since he was a fresher. So embarrassment of riches at 9 for Exeter, and they've got Sam Maunder on England 20s duty at the moment. So take your pick, and then Ed Houchin as well, played all last year. So 9's one position extra have got plenty of.
It's almost not fair, isn't it? Because you've got so many quality players that might not be getting the rugby week in, week out that they would be at another university.
Yeah, exactly.
Forwards.
Another tail ball there by Angus Southern.
Here's the chase that's taken well by Charlie Davis, and he's got a bit of space to run into here. Carried so much momentum. There are hands on that from Hartpury, but it's come back, and Thompson can put McMeekin into the line of fire, and he did get shot low as well. It's a loose pass from Scrota. Not quite the highlights reel stuff that we saw from him at the end of the first half. Some massive collisions, and I think Southern
head knock there for Southern, I think.
Yeah, he stayed down. I think the referee's going to have to bring play to a stop shortly, especially if Exeter do decide to go left. Southern's rolled over onto his back.
He's struggling.
Yeah, not sure if that was a head knock or a shoulder. Either way, he looks in some real discomfort.
Yeah, you don't like to see that. You don't like to see it looked like head or neck or something serious. So ref stop play, which is the right thing to do, and it's potentially quite an issue here for Hartpury. Angus is their go-to line-out winner, as I said. He's their line-out caller, so their set piece has been going really, really well recently. But that could be a potential issue there. And they're missing the likes of Bob Fuller, as you've just seen there on the sideline. So potentially an issue in the engine room here.
Oh wow, he's just got his head in totally the wrong position. He has worn a solar plexus to the top of the head there.
Have a look.
Well, Ben Kellen's come on, and
be around here.
He brings some experience as well. So he's a sort of good replacement for Angus Southern. So not too much of an issue for Hartpury.
Okay, yeah, fine. Probably the same thing. I think
academy experience.
So make sure he stays straight. And we can look
for Ben Kelland. Spent a bit of time abroad as well.
Yeah.
But as you say, Southern very, very important to that Hartpury line-out. With you being captain for the championship team, I'm assuming that you are the line-out general as well. Is there a bit of a crossover between the BUCS line-out and the championship line-out? So you and Angus know each other well from those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, we use the same calling system because the championship team's depth comes from the BUCS boys, and it's not unusual for those boys to double up and play Wednesday, Saturday, so it makes sense to have the same calling system. So I mean, I can see what's going on for both teams. I remember the line-out calls for Exeter as well, so it's interesting, it's fascinating for me to see the two go for each other. But Exeter have a similar system. They use exactly the same calls and structures as the Chiefs for similar purposes. So if anyone has to jump up and play A-League or Prem Cup or hopefully get signed by the Chiefs, then it's easy to integrate. So I think it's a smart move from both clubs to make that integration between the BUCS team and the next level up all that easier.
Poker faces on the Exeter coaches there. You're not going to get a read from those two, are you?
No, Keith's a big softie though, to be fair.
That's on record forever now. You're a much braver man than me saying that's for sure. But he's a very different character to a lot of the coaches in this league. But what I do get the impression is that the boys absolutely love playing for him.
Yeah, he plays his cards very close to his chest, Keith, and unless you know him well, then he could be a grumpy old sod. But no, he creates a good culture, and he's been down there for years, and he knows. He's had family go through the university, and his heart and soul are in the club. So he doesn't make it. He's not lost on the boys how important the club is to himself, to the university, and to the alumni like myself who can't really let go.
I think that's one of the things about university rugby or any sport that you play for university. I don't think you ever feel the way about any other club than you do for your uni team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Trying to keep my neutral hat on here, but no, I would agree that I think university rugby potentially still has some of that romance that the professional game might have lost. With it inevitably being a job and and things like that, things like loyalty and pride, it might have gone out slightly, not necessarily all the way, but gone out a bit of the professional game. And I think when you're just playing for love, playing for the love of the game, playing for your mates, it's a bit sloppy. But I think it's got that romance that, as you're right, you'll never really let go. And if Exeter are playing a BUCS final in 20 years' time, I'll be there.
You say soppy should I say, but myself and Joe are both well into our 30s and do a podcast on university rugby, so I think you're preaching to the choir here. There is something very different about BUCS Super Rugby, and I suppose it marries the two, doesn't it, because there is that loyalty, however there's the quality as well.
Yeah, and that's something that's, I think university rugby's always had that quality, but with the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby, and with most university teams being affiliated to a Premiership or a Championship team, it's really driven that quality through the roof. And in the first couple of years of BUCS Super Rugby, you might have seen sort of Exeter, Hartpury, Loughborough as sort of runaway horses, and yes, at the top of the league, but you're getting upsets these days that you weren't getting a few years ago. And I think that means the quality of the league overall has really increased, and the numbers of people you're seeing going into the professional game have grown and grown.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's a genuine option now if you perhaps don't get picked up by an academy the first time round, if you're going to be a late developer, or if you just want to make that educational choice. There is factual evidence that playing university rugby can not be a barrier, but in fact an asset in terms of getting a professional contract.
Yeah, I think also rugby isn't football. You can't earn 200 grand a week and retire at 35 and live your life. You're inevitably going to have to retire at some point, and you might not make it at the top level. So to have something like a degree or a trade to fall back on, I think is key. And as you say, the number of players that have come through BUCS and not just played at Premiership but played international level. You look at Seb Negri, who's here, who I unfortunately lost to at Twickenham a couple of years ago, and Sam Skinner, who down at Exeter, he's played for Scotland. Negri for Italy. You've got Alex Dombrandt playing well for Harlequins. Tom Lauday's going well for the Chiefs, and I could reel off more and more names, and it's impressive.
I thought Dombrandt might get the call up for the Six Nations. I really did.
Yeah,
the back row, if you're going to pick a position of competition, the back row is certainly one of them for England, I think so.
Yes. Well, Sam Skinner's going great guns. Did he pick up a knock this weekend, actually?
Yeah, he sprained his ankle, I think. So he's back down in Exeter getting treatment, so I don't know how serious it is.
That's the thing, isn't it? If you're playing for Scotland, but your club team is Exeter, that is so far to travel in between games.
Yeah. I think they might pay his expenses, so he'll be all right.
I'd have thought so. He did actually join us on the BUCS stops here, so if you find yourself wanting to know a little bit more about the league, then get onto that SoundCloud page. He took some time out. It was just after he'd got man of the match against Fiji. That's
on debut against Fiji. Yeah.
What a performance. That is next week's fixture, just before Valentine's Day, so you won't get in trouble with your significant other for tuning in on a Wednesday night. Hartpury versus Cardiff Met.
It's not Valentine's Day, but it is my mum's birthday. So,
13th?
Yeah, might have to give that one a miss.
Treat her to a nice night at BSR. We're back here at Gilman's, and that is a massive, massive game. If Hartpury can turn this one around, then they'll need to beat Cardiff Met, and Cardiff Met need to win every match to keep their title aspirations alive. Exeter, of course, the reigning champions. They beat Cardiff Met last year on bonus points to lift the league trophy, and then Hartpury, with a well-executed try with the clock red, beat them at Twickenham. So it's a tough old season for Danny Milton and Ian Gardner's men. If you are just tuning in and you're wondering why we're looking at Hartpury warming up on the pitch, we have an injury. Angus Soughton picked up a head knock, got his head in the wrong position in a tackle, and he's down there receiving medical treatment. The score is Hartpury 14, Exeter 21. We're only a minute or so into the second stanza. Just everything crossed for Angus, really. Hope it's not too serious.
Yeah, you hate to see this. It's potentially serious, but also they do err on the side of caution, so hopefully this is just being extra careful. But it did look like head or neck, and it's good to see him getting the right treatment, and you certainly don't want to rush these injuries. So all our thoughts with Angus, and hopefully, as I say, that's not too serious. But at the moment, it's looking that way.
Well, if you are just joining us, we've had 5 tries in this match already. Let's take a look at the action from the first half. Hartpury, as you can see from the scoreboard there, opened the scoring. It was a lovely move. Take a look at this inside line here. Elias Caven taking that one from Morgan. That was just after Hartpury had an attempt at the try line from a catch and drive from the line-up. but you can't keep a good dog down, and Exeter struck straight back. Charlie Davis and Will Hollis adding the way to some big backs to a forwards pack, marching towards the line, and Hollis dotted down. Morley added the extras, and we were locked at 7 apiece. This is that try from another angle. You can see that it was after about 15 minutes. Early celebrations on that. I like it when the people who aren't involved get the arms up just to try and make the refs mind up for him.
Yeah, good from that, from Luke Bliss. He's a social sec down in Exeter, so he's used to cheering teams on in various capacities. So yeah, good to see him get his arms up.
And then George Gosling, usually a metronome with his darts, threw a stray one, and Alex Gibson put Max Clementson in to give Hartpury the lead, and that was the last time they led in the match. Here's Paul Scroter. Hartpury know how difficult it is to defend against Exeter, so they just didn't bother, but Scroter was aware.
Taking Clementson for a ride there.
Yeah, he was wild, wasn't he? Like a coyote on a lion, trying to get something. Well, we've credited that one to Luke Bliss, but maybe him and Scroter can arm wrestle for it later. I've toed and froed on it. But Clementson just trying to drag it down. To be fair, if he had done it, was a penalty try anyway. So
to be fair, I think that in timepiece tonight they'll both be claiming that to anyone who listens. So I'm not sure that's important.
Again, the extras were added, so it was 14 all. And Scroter, no doubts this time. Look at this little drop through 2 defenders. Spotted a bit of a mismatch there. There was a flat-footed front rower, and Ollie White dotted down under the sticks. He was on the bench last week, so good for him to get a start. And for a fresher, even though as a fresher you're 18 years of age and there are people in the professional ranks at 18, there's always something about a fresher in a university side making waves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, down in Exeter they have a freshers first 15 policy, so the vast majority of the freshers will play in the third 15, but that is labelled the freshers first 15. But if you're exceptionally talented or there's a need for you, then it's certainly not impossible to play in the first 15. And Ollie White is impressing as a fresher out here. As I say, Aaron Bagwell's now in his final year, but in his first year he came in all skin and bones, but he stood up to the challenge really well. And same on the Hartpury side, there's less of a strict policy. You know, if you're good enough, and you're a fresher, that's not going to stand in your way. So you're right. There is something about freshers doing well that it's good to see. It's good to see sort of. You know, there's some 24, 25-year-old blokes out there, and if you're coming in at 18 out of school, it can be daunting. In Josh Peters' case, it's probably about 29, I think.
There's a few old boys, especially as we drift up to Yorkshire. I think there's a few lads in the Leeds Beckett side that are about my age, but they're going great guns. 4 wins in a row, finally hitting their straps. And as we come to the playoffs, I wouldn't fancy playing them. I've actually been updated on the playoff format, and it's only the top 8 in the league who are going to be able to compete for that Twickenham trophy. So that win for Cardiff, even more important, it puts them into 8th place. And as it stands, Loughborough and Trent are not going to be in the quarterfinals of the BUCS Championship, which is massive, especially for Loughborough.
Yeah, I mean, Loughborough's a big name. I mean, you know, no disrespect to Trent, they are new boys to the league in terms of last year. Loughborough's a massive name in University Rugby, so you know, it's not over yet. They could well qualify, but to see them not in the top 8 would be a surprise to me if you told me that at the beginning of the season. But on that being the top 8 only qualifying, I think it's a tough one, because before BUCS Super Rugby was created, technically about 14, 16 teams had a shot at Twickenham, and you didn't want to take that away with the introduction of BUCS Super Rugby, but also the amount of games the boys are playing now, and as I say, full-time degrees, and the workload that's going on them and their bodies. I think if you take out that extra round of playoffs, it's probably only good for, you know, it's probably the practical thing to do for academic and for fitness reasons, I think.
And ultimately, it's not like Newport County in the FA Cup yesterday. They beat Middlesbrough and then they've got a glory tie against Manchester City. If you are, I don't know, Nottingham University or Bristol or somebody who's in the Premier Leagues down below BUCS Super Rugby, it's not exactly a glamour tie against Exeter. You're just going to ship 60, 70 points and it's going to be a miserable afternoon.
Yeah, and I think we saw that last year with Loughborough when they played I think, or maybe 2 years ago when Loughborough played Cardiff University. Similar thing happened. Really good to see Angus Southern, coming off the pitch with the physio support. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Wish him the best.
Well, as soon as we do receive any news on Angus, we will bring it to you. But he's strapped up. As you say, it's mostly precautionary. So, fingers crossed for him. It was a pretty big collision.
Yeah, they've got a fantastic medical team here. So hopefully, I know he's in good hands. We've got Dr. James and Rich Mack, the head of physio there. So he's in good hands. So hopefully, it's nothing too serious.
The problem is they're all big lumps these days. It takes 6 people to get them off. But it's been lovely to chat. But it's time to get back down to the action now. Still Hartpury 14, Exeter 21. 2.5 minutes into the second half. There's still lots of rugby to be played. Pierre Thompson is going to have to put in at the scrum here.
Stoppage like that can affect the team. It'll be really interesting to see who's lost the momentum here.
And I think Exeter will be happy to have the ball in hand, and Irvin Murick comes out of the line again.
Massive hole. Oh, they filled it now.
Well, Robbie Smith skirts from right to left for Hartpury to get back into the defensive line. Change of direction there from Morley. Sends Johnson backwards.
That's a fantastic kick.
Inch perfect, and Johnson does well in the end.
He's done very well.
Under immense pressure.
That was an inch perfect kick from Morley.
Nike. Timing then, boys.
Yeah, that was really well dealt with Johnson. Potential issue there.
And that's taken a deflection on the way out as well. So Hartpury will have the throw in at the line out.
Yeah, Gumby Gilbert looking interested there in his coffee van. Looks like that on the training pitch most days as well, to be fair. So
he's an institution.
No change.
Here. How long's he been here? 7, 8 years?
I don't know.
This is
not too long.
it's not getting much better.
No, he's a good bloke, Gumby. Gets a lot of grief from the boys, but he's a good bloke.
There's an accidental offside given by the referee.
That's a big call, that. Really good platform here. Be interesting to see. I think the Hartpury squad might be a bit stronger. Ben Kellen's got that bit more weight than Angus Southern, so it's not a gimme here for Exeter. I'd get the ball in and out if I were them.
Set.
Oh, they've won that shot.
McMeekin waits at the back. Is he going to have a little dart himself? Goes straight over Morgan.
Stationary. Use it.
No, Thompson gets hands on it, and they're going to put width on. Elderkin, Davis, good cover tackle.
Tackle, all good.
Jack Johnson in the line, defending wide.
Yeah, top defender as well as attacker, Jack Johnson.
Roll 9.
Exactly what you want from a 15. Advantage coming here for Exeter. Can they take full advantage? Go to the blind side. Try and do it quickly. Too quickly. Charlie Davis overruns it. It's going to be a penalty. What is the shout here?
I think Exeter will go for the corner here. We've seen their drive successful twice, and there's a potential bonus point coming if they can execute it again. So always go for the corner. It's something I'm remembered for.
Spoken like a true man of the set piece. Hartpury lining up ready. Big chats here. George Gosling ordering the rest of the pack around. I think that shows the decision's already been made. And Morley does chip for the corner.
Hey, come across.
5 minutes gone. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. And this seems like a huge fate in the game after that long injury delay.
Well,
first job
this
complete.
Is what Exeter won.
Will start to come now, and
Gosling Hollis wants another one.
Has it in his hand. In fact, yeah, Gosling is the man there. Is it going to be a second from short range for Hollis? It stops and goes again and stops and goes again. Hollis still has his hands on the ball. All eyes on the referee.
That looked like a try to me.
Oh, the referee hasn't given it. And Exeter at 1s and 2s. It's been dotted down this time. There is the bonus point, and it's advantage Exeter in the match and in the race for the league title.
Yeah, still too soon to say that's the game for me. Hartpury aren't beaten till the whistle goes, especially at the Gilmans. But that's certainly a momentum build for Exeter. And we were saying who might get affected by that prolonged stoppage, and so far it's Hartpury, but it's certainly not over yet.
And Davis and Hollis in there. 8, 9, 10 Exeter players. It's Kieran Kelly with
that's
the cap
fantastic.
on.
Actually, that's fantastic defence there.
And who's got the final touch?
Yeah, try there. I know Exeter scored in the end, but Ben George knocking them back over the line off that first one was fantastic from scrum half. Unfortunately, wasn't enough to keep Exeter out in the long term.
Well, a big response required here from Hartpury. Bonus point secure for Exeter.
Come on then, Coombsy. Aidan, loads of energy.
Which is big, because it means they will actually extend their lead at the top, even if Hartpury can get the win. He's missed the kick that time, but the bonus point still secure. It's Hartpury 14, Exeter 26.
Yeah, I think the crowd's going to become a massive factor here. If Hartpury get their tails up, this crowd is really vocal, but it's gone quiet. The drums stopped going, the songs have stopped. People are having conversations and not cheering so loudly for Hartpury. So if Exeter can keep them quiet for the next 15-20 minutes, then that's only going to benefit them. Just as I say that, the drum gets going again.
Well, they're going to need it. It was Luke Bliss who dotted that one down, so that's the second score of the night for Bliss. Bearing in mind he's come in for Joe Southfield this evening, making himself very useful with a 10-point contribution. And there go the songs. They don't last too long though. It is eerily quiet around Gilmans at the moment. He's gone out on the full.
Big mistake there by Bear Thompson. That could be the momentum shift Hartpury are looking for.
And we're not used to Exeter making them. It was an Exeter mistake that led to Hartpury's second try. Oh, Hartpury in no hurry to get themselves to this line out. It's bang on the 22. There's Luke Boone, he was on the bench for that Twickenham final last year, came on in the second half. And there, as you said, Exeter throw a man up at the back, and they managed to pinch that one.
Yeah, really good read. I think that's Paul Scroter again, or is it Lashajani? I think it's Paul. If you get up, you're never going to turn the ball over if you don't get up, so get up and bank on it, and a really good hand in there. As I say, I think it was Paul Schroeter.
Ben Kellan with the attempt at the charge down there. He's wearing number 19. He's the one who's come on for Angus Southen.
Changes, number 2 from Exeter, please. Use the line, please.
Yeah, it was Paul Schroeter.
Okay.
Aidan Burnett has come on for Hartpury as well. As has Jack Combs wearing number 22.
Thank you.
So Hartpury ringing the changes with half an hour to go. Exeter sticking with what's done them well so far. Gosling has the ball at the back, and this is solid stuff.
They'll be looking for a penalty here. Hartpury need to stay disciplined. Exeter aren't going to drive them 60 metres, so just stay honest and don't give away the penalty.
No.
There's Scroter.
He's stuck in there, fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Great workhouse second row. Hands on that there from Gosling. Are they legal? No, says the referee. Here's the advantage, and as you predicted, here's the penalty.
Yeah, exactly what Hartpury didn't need to do. I think Burt Gibson, thought that Paul Schroeter had come round and he was within his rights to hit it, but not according to the referee. So that could have gone either way. But exactly what Exeter were looking for. Another penalty, another kick to the corner, another 6-7 metre line out. So potential alarm bells here for Hartpury.
50 minutes gone.
Just keep the gap open.
I'm giving you your 25-minute warning here, Si. You will be selecting the Yoti Man of the Match. I know it is something that you've experienced before. It's a massive accolade in any player's career.
It's a poison chalice.
Or a poison bottle, or a poison medal, as it is this year. But either way, you're in charge of dishing it out as Gosling tries to find his man, goes to the front this time.
Inside 5, more.
And since that one that slipped through the fingers over the top, he's been pretty flawless as the Exeter captain.
Stop!
Exeter slip round.
Say more.
That's really well dealt with by Exeter.
Watch Pierre Thompson with his hands on this. He's going to try and nick a forward stride. They're over the line again. It's unstoppable from the green machine.
Yeah, that got me excited again for the way Exeter very nearly messed that up. But they basically at the back of them all, you don't want to spin out too early and be hit. So they straightened themselves up really well. And the ref said use it once, but you've got until he says the second time, and Exeter have done well there. But as I say, still Hartpury have got a lot of firepower, a lot of potential, and a big buy-in here from the back line. Salem Bowes joining in with his questionable haircut.
There's a few of those in the league. In fact, I'm not sure about Pierre Thompson's, but it is a 9th score of the season for him. He goes into the lead in terms of tries scored.
I expect to see some big characters in the Hartpury step up now. You know, Alex Gibson, as I said, bags of experience. He'll lead from the front. Want to see Benny George and is Paul Morgan still on at the 10? To see those two pulling strings. It's certainly not over. I think there's still half an hour left, if not more. So I'd expect to see some big personalities in Hartpury step up now.
Well, since the injury, Hartpury have not got their hands on the ball, and Exeter have got over the whitewash twice in what is becoming traditional style. Here's Morley to add the extras. He missed the last one, kicked the 3 before that. Oh, and it's just like kicking practice for him. Lovely strike. Exeter 33, Hartpury 14.
See here, Exeter almost spin out of control, then get the ball back and then square it up. And as soon as you've got that momentum, it's everyone pile in and get that ball over the line. So good ball detail there from Exeter.
Well, they're making it look easy at the moment. 53 minutes gone. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. The reigning league champions closing in on back-to-back league titles. They won't like me saying that, but the facts speak for themselves. But Harry Holland's not done with this one yet. Massive collision with Will Hollis that he comes out on the right side of. Will Biggs trying to send the big man forward now. Hands on that from Exeter.
Really good to see Jack Coombs on. He's been out for a long time with a knee injury, and he's been working really hard on his rehab, and he could well be that spark that Hartpury need. Coming on at 9, I think he's number 22 here.
Yeah.
21 on my 22. So yeah, good to see him back. He's been working hard on his rehab, and could be that spark.
So Ben George has made way. Well, Combs comes under immediate pressure. Morley fields that. Plenty of time, plenty of space, but just punches it straight down the throat of Hartpury. And that's Morgan. Pitches it into space. It needs a bounce, and Murich is on the wrong end of the collision this time as Pierre Thompson wins the ball, makes some meters. Has he knocked that on? No, says the referee. And now he can have a little dart at space. He gets around Tom Everard. Oh, it's creative stuff. He's turned Hartpury. They're in real trouble here. They're at 1s and 2s, and another score, and surely it's game over. Ollie White gets bailed backwards, but the referee says the ball has gone forward. Pierre Thompson causing havoc.
Yeah, he loves a dart, Pierre. Sometimes frustrating when you're ready to carry off 9 and he scoots, but you know, if you don't shoot, you don't score, and for every time he gets caught by someone around the fringe, he goes through almost as often. So it's a deadly threat. This was almost a perfect kick. Really good vision from Paul Morgan, but didn't quite sit up for Irvin, and a good tackle by Joe Elderkin.
Well, Hartpury need to roll the dice, and that's exactly what Paul Morgan did there. 55 minutes gone. Hartpury up against it. Uncharacteristically, they've dropped points at home this year. They've been defeated by Bath. They were defeated by Leeds Beckett earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, Bath a bit of a bogey team for both these sides. Hartpury losing home and away, and Exeter losing away at Bath for the first time in years. So Bath are ruffling some feathers at the moment, but a bit inconsistent potentially.
Strange old team, Bath. This is so difficult to get a read on. Durham are the same. As you say, 1 week they'll turn up and they'll beat Exeter, and then they'll lose to Cardiff. Although, by the results they're putting together now, that is nothing to be ashamed of. Back-to-back wins for the first time in BUCS Super Rugby history for the new boys from the Welsh capital. And they are closing in on a place in the playoffs. Hartpury with the put in here. They've been on the wrong side of the referee on a few of these scrums. A few changes now. Got Aidan Burnett there.
Bind.
Blindside flanker.
Set.
Holland picks, goes, offloads as well. Risky old game in that part of the pitch. We've got Dwayne Burrows, we're in 23. Oh, this is risky stuff here from Hartpury. Exeter don't really commit anybody after Jack Capon makes the tackle.
Yeah, Exeter won't commit anyone here. They'll just say, go on, you Exeter then, Hartpury. They'll keep 14, 15 men on their feet and look for a mistake like that.
Oh, goodness me. Hartpury living on the edge here. They're going to be driven back over their line, and Exeter just committing bodies all over the place.
Big moment, that.
Elias Caven there, just checking on that right shoulder. Didn't look very comfortable.
Andy Hamilton's come on for Exeter. He's a fourth-year postgraduate student coming from Taunton Titans. So, and more embarrassment of riches at hooker. Exeter still have Ralph Burler in the wings as well. He's in his fourth year. He's got 2 years of BUCS Super Rugby under his belt. So, another strong position for Exeter there at hooker.
Well, they are in the box seat here. Already secured the bonus point. And Hartpury are going to need to cross the whitewash 3 times to get themselves into this. And that seems a long way away here as Pierre Thompson prepares to put this ball in 5 metres from a 6th Exeter score.
You can either use it or reset.
I'll get that out if I was Exeter.
And they do. Oh, there's
great carry.
Oh, he scored as well. You said at the very first whistle that he would be a battering ram, and goodness me, what a carry from the inside centre.
Yeah, he may look like a tight head, but Will Hollis is actually a centre and carries like a good one as well, to be fair. Hartpury won't like this. They won't roll over. They've got a lot of pride and they've got a lot of quality. So still potentially too early, but one more try maybe, and that could be curtains. Brilliant carry, and it's just a missed tackle. I mean, it's a tough carry, to be fair, but you need to be making those tackles 5 metres off your line.
Well, he's gone straight over the top of Paul Morgan there. The Hartpury outside half won't want to watch that one back. And this, the kick for 40 points, duly dispatched.
Yeah, Sam Morley's place kicking has actually come on leaps and bounds. Last few years that's been Ted Landreau's responsibility, but he stepped into those shoes really well, done a lot of work, a lot of extra work in his kicking with Stu Allred, the extra kicking coach, and I think he's missed one today and he's hit a couple of touchline ones, so 2 points might not seem a lot of the time, but if you're scoring 5 tries, that's another quick match, 10 points.
Oh, now will there be trouble here? No, says the referee. Well, actually he's put his arm out now. Will there be further repercussions as well? Hang on, we're going straight back, because I think there's a Hartpury player in some discomfort here, and that really has lit a fire underneath the supporters as well. Oh, and it's kicking off. These boys don't need a second invitation. Hartpury have previous here against Leeds Beckett. There was a bit of a fracas that led to a red card. Jordan Liney, the recipient on that occasion for the home team. But a decision to be made here. Incidentally, it was just before that. It was from the kickoff. Incidentally, that is the 3rd time in the last 18 fixtures that Exeter have reached 40 points.
Let's have a look at this.
Jumped in the air, you suddenly got a pull down in the air by white 11. There's a pull that's
they're both going for the ball there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That depends what touch judge put his flag out, so he clearly thinks otherwise.
And Alex Forrester, the unlucky recipient for Hartpury.
Competition is fine. You then pulled him down to the ground. It's the pull with the pin line.
I think there's going to be a yellow card. I think Matthew Blee is the man in trouble. And he jogs over to spend 10 minutes on the bench with Keith Fleming. Now Hartpury need to do something in this time.
Yeah, that could be exactly what Hartpury need. Potential momentum shift here. So big defence needed from Exeter, and Hartpury have their tails right up.
Yeah, I'll find
So
out.
Exeter 26 points to the good, which means in the last 18 matches there's only 12 points between these two teams. Exeter 12 points to the good. Oh, it goes from bad to worse for Hartpury. Fantastic opportunity from the line out. This time they're guilty of the overthrow.
Taken back. Everyone in front, hold please.
And Morley can clear. Again, boots put to ball.
Great vision.
Needs to be a sweep here from Morley. He's going to get nowhere near it, and Exeter are back into the 22. Jack Johnson put it on the toe that time. I wonder whether or not he'd have had an attack. He hasn't looked particularly confident in terms of taking those runs from deep. I expected him to carry a bit more ball today.
Potentially, but you've seen there, that kicks put Exeter under a lot of pressure. So sometimes it's not about running it. You're right. He is a dangerous runner, and he hasn't done it as much today. But it's a good kicking game as well.
Always inside.
20 minutes of this one to go. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti.
That is a fantastic kick by Pierre Thompson. That's what he brings you. He brings you, kick one out on the full earlier, but that's about a 40-yard gain from a box kick. That's very impressive.
And he's controlled the match very well. We're 14 minutes away from you announcing
Changes.
the Yoti player of the match. I wonder whether or not the Exeter number 9 is in contention. Changes in the front row for Hartpury. There is Jordan Liney. Just speaking about him a minute ago for his red card shenanigans against Leeds Beckett earlier in the season.
He plays with his heart in his sleeve, Liney does. So
first dart successful for the replacement hooker. There's Harry Holland. He's gone through a lot of work this evening as Holland hasn't always got on the front foot, but now could it open up here? Here is Combs with the inside ball, and there's Johnson, gets through the first tackle, but the cover tackle comes in to bring him down just outside the 22.
Advantage, offside.
Lovely dummy there thrown, and the offload out of the back door too.
Penalty advantage.
Just not coming off for Hartpury, but Combs has added an extra dimension to the attack. There's Liney in midfield. Has that gone forward while the referee's bringing them back? Chance.
Yeah, Coombs there, been that spark that I mentioned, goes through a lovely gaping hole there, goes well, and then finds Johnson's support, and it's only from a last-ditch tap from Salam Boj and followed up by Sam Morley that Johnson wasn't under the post there.
Two very important cover tackles there from Exeter. Tiny, tiny margins.
Please. 6.
It'd be interesting to see if Exeter compete here or stay on the ground.
And despite neither the scoreboard nor the clock being on their side, Hartpury in no rush. Liney, it's not very clean, but it comes out of the back door from Gibson.
High advantage.
Advantage coming for the high tackle. Hartpury starting to build the pressure, but they need 4 scores.
He's on
Little chip over the top. Oh, it's well gathered. And a mark called as well, but I think we'll go back for the penalty.
Yeah, cheeky little out the back there from Alex Gibson. I said before the game, he's a great scrummager, but he's not afraid to throw the ball around either, and nearly came off.
Careful,
high tackle there from Exeter.
Oh, option. Scrum, yeah.
And we're going to go for the scrum.
Big call.
You got that mess?
Interesting to see what they do here, keep it in or get it out, because if it does come out quickly, they do have that advantage with Matthew Blee being in the sin bin.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You're right. Do you take the overlap or you got the ascendancy in the scrum? So it'd be interesting to see what goes.
Crouch.
Similar position to where Exeter scored their try up the other end, where William Hollis went straight through Paul Morgan.
Listen, lads.
Exeter will look to wind down the clock here. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or not, but Luke Bliss stepping up, taking another bit of time off that yellow card. It's a good bit of tactical nous there, but the referee will only let them get away with it for so long, and Hartpury want to play here.
Ethan Seville's come on in the front row for Hartpury. Another product of the Hartpury machine come through.
Crouch.
The ace team was in the championship win inside of 2017, 66-14 against Gosforth Park. It's not even fair. Although they were pushed a little bit more this year, the ace team. So, it does come out quickly. Not sure if it was deliberate or not, but Coombs puts that footwork on, a real live wire but then feels the right shoulder of Will Hollis. So they're now a scrum half short, so Holland takes responsibility for the ball as we approach the final 15 minutes. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Goes wide. Is there an overlap there? Not on this occasion. Charlie Davis makes the tackle. The right winger defending on the left wing as Hartpury fly forward again.
Let go now, one.
Exeter look organised in defence, and that slow ball will help them as well. Now can they put width on it? Now is there space? Harry Holland has got plenty to run into. Is he going to go straight over the top? He beats the first tackle and Bose takes him into touch, and that is huge.
Yeah, really big from Salem Bose there. He's a dangerous runner with ball in hand. He's been backed up there by Sam Morley, but that is a big tackle on a number 8, stopping a try.
The pass wasn't that clean.
So you're going to be on the line. They're going to be on the line.
Good speed bump work there, and he recovered so well, did Mboj. And all these individual moments, Exeter seem to be winning. All the 50-50s are going the way of the green machine.
Once.
Ambitious.
Thompson wants to go here, and Mboj is in space, puts boot to ball, and now the foot race is on. I mean, Johnson's going to get there first, but again, it's a brilliant kick. It relieves the pressure, and Hartpury back to square one.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone over the try line, but that's not a bad outcome for Exeter. That if you look where they were on their own try line, and now they're going to be receiving a 22 on about the halfway, and it's brilliantly tried down by Jack Capon. Little scrappy.
Well, that's gone forward. Left Dwayne Burrows.
Charlie Morgan's come on for Exeter as well. Really good player, good line out forward, good work rate.
It's
good to see him in the team.
Got about 14 left.
Keep an eye on Mboj. Is he taken out there?
No, I think he milks that. Sal does. I think Dwayne Burrows is in the air there and doesn't really change his line, and Sal milked that for me.
Pitch to your side. Charles? There's a pitch to your side. Stay square, please, this side.
Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Exeter closing in on victory, and maybe closing in on the league as well. It's all smiles on the bench, and no surprise, it's been a wonderful performance from the visitors.
John, the bus driver, there in the dugout. Odd place to see him.
Should be getting some kip. He's got a long drive home.
You know what I'm talking about?
Probably a rowdy one at this rate as well.
Exeter with a lot more joy with this away trip than they had when they travelled up to Kingston Park earlier in the season.
2 minutes.
Yeah. By all accounts, there was a mess up in the Athletic Union office, and the flights are booked for the wrong day. So I would have loved to have seen Keith's reaction when he got told that, but it didn't bother them, and they came away with a bonus point win. So
I've had plenty of mileage out of that, so I'm totally okay with it. Oh, here comes Thompson again. Ball into space. It's going to be a 7th try. Unbelievable from Exeter. 45-14 as we approach the final 10 minutes, and they are dismantling the champions.
Yeah, I've been copping out up until now, but I'm pretty sure that's game, set and match. Scoring a try when you're down to 14 men is really impressive. You look at Exeter's exit play there on their own try line up to the other end, and Morley and Thompson picking off an easy 2-on-1.
Well, they're down to 14, but they've been the one creating overlaps. They got the one with Mboj at the right-hand side with the clearance kick, and then on the left-hand side there, Morley trots over. Here's an interesting stat. In the last 17 top-level games between these two, neither has reached 50 points. Could Exeter be the first of the two to do it?
We'll see. And this kick probably needs to go over for that to happen. I've certainly been on the receiving end of some 40-point concessions to Hartpury, and fortunately given out a few as well. But 50 would really hurt the Hartpury boys. There'll be a sombre mood in camp at the moment. They won't like this, so I don't envy whoever got to play them next week, because there will be a reaction.
Well, this fixture was the turning point for Hartpury last season. Could it be the turning point for Exeter this? It's another missed kick. He can't back up his own 5-pointer with the 2, but with 10 minutes to go. Exeter 45, Hartpury 14. I think even the deepest, darkest EURFC Ultra wouldn't have predicted this at the start of play.
No, and you know, it's just another example of how unpredictable this league is. I don't think as I said earlier, I don't think anyone predicted Hartpury to go down to Topsham and walk away with such a comprehensive win, and I certainly didn't predict this. As Lashagiani takes a brilliant receipt. No one would have predicted this. I thought it was going to be close. I thought it was going to be cagey. It would be up to 80 minutes, but after the half time, Exeter really dominated.
They certainly have. And I'm not going to let Keith Fleming get away with not telling me they're in pole position for the league at full time.
Good luck on that one.
Do stick with us after the match. We'll be bringing you highlights from last week's game, as well as interviews with the winning coach and the man of the match that Si Linsell is going to be awarding in about 5 minutes' time.
Yeah, I had a lot of Exeter boys sliding into my DMs today, knowing that was my responsibility. So I'll let you know which one paid the most in a minute.
And that's a forward pass from Hartpury. They're falling apart here. This is uncharacteristic. We don't see it very often, but as you rightly said, woe betide their future opponents, Cardiff Met. We are back here for BUCS Super Rugby, presented by Yoti Live, and I feel as though there will be a backlash. That is the league table as it stands. Exeter opening up a 10-point gap. Of course, Cardiff Met are currently hosting Bath at King Coed. We'll bring you a live score update as soon as we get it, but Hartpury now, even though they've got that game in hand, they are up against it. They need 5 wins, they need 5 bonus point wins, and they need Exeter to drop points at home, which has been a rarity since the inception of this division.
Yeah, 2 new tight heads on there, holding it solid. Brian Nkoob and Matt Johnson, 2 big lads.
Salem Boge, great player to have off the bench. Paul Scrota wears a collision there, but he's had a fantastic game in the engine room for Exeter.
He has.
Capen, was that high from Holland? No, says the referee. He's happy to let play continue. David Seaman jumping into the midfield there for Exeter, but Sam Morley pops up and even off balance puts in a lovely kick to touch.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that's down to luck or skill. We'll give him skill, but under pressure there, and he's got extra out of a potential issue.
Well, I'm not going to ask you for your final decision yet, but on both sides, who's impressed you this evening?
I think on the Hartpury side, you know, it's been a tough day at the office, but as I said at the beginning, highlighting someone like Alex Gibson, I think while he was on, the scrum was dominant. We saw him give that pass to Clementson for the try, and he threw one out the back cheekily. So he's had a good game, and also Jack Johnson, Max Clementson, great games. And then on the Exeter side, as you say, Paul Schroeder, Jack Capon and Rory McMeekin have been a really good sort of force of 3 in that back row, and Pierre Thompson and Sam Morley have really driven things well in the back line.
In the midst of that, Jordan Liney off target with the darts. It is another scrum to Exeter in a great position. They are back up to 15 now as the rain's just starting to come down. We were wondering whether it would or not.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Okay, down the short side here, Harry Bazaljet's on.
He gets taken high. Oh, Bath are up at Cardiff Met as well. That is what Exeter want to see.
Tackle.
It will be a rowdy bus journey home, and Bath once again a real thorn in the side of the top team. So unpredictable, but when it goes well for them,
Advantage knock on.
they are a real force. And this could be back-to-back defeats at home for Cardiff Met. That's unthinkable.
Yeah, King Coed's a tough place to go. You know, we lost there last year, and you know, similar to here and Topsham on a day when the teams are at home, it's a tough. There's a hostile crowd and tough. So yeah, a massive scalp for Bath. As we said earlier, you know, they'll slip up against someone you might expect them to beat, and then they'll go to a tough place like the Gilmans or King Coed and come away with a win. So another good advert for the league.
Certainly is. but that effectively ends Cardiff's push for the title. They narrowly missed out last year. I think it might be a slightly bigger gap between them and the top of the table this year. All of the omens are pointing in the direction of Exeter. They came unstuck in the playoffs last year. It was an inspiring Hartpury performance down at Topsham that put them out of the big competition, but I don't think they're going to be denied in the chase for the league. Last throw of the dice. Oh, it's gone to ground again. This is an evening that Hartpury are going to want to forget, and they're going to have to forget, because there's still lots of rugby to be played this season.
You got time. Yeah.
Well, as Hartpury need to clear their lines at the next stoppage, tee us up and give us your Yoti man of the match. In fact, it's not going to be this time around, because Paul Morgan's missed touch, and Exeter are going to come again as Charlie Davis gets smashed, but still comes out on the right side of the contact. 5 minutes to go. Big Matt Johnson's on, wearing number 18. Long way round him. Aaron Bagwell. Rain coming down pretty heavy now. Hazelgat's there as well as they go up the blind side. Carry there from McMeekin. God, he's got some engine on him. Plays like he's got 3 lungs. Matt Johnson gets his first carry.
Let him get out of the way.
Yeah, I think Jono's capacity for pints is probably bigger than his lung capacity, but he's a good asset to have in the set piece.
Well, Charlie Davis has just worn a shoulder again. To go digging for that. Pick up off the toes there from Harrison Folk. Agile front rower. Bagwell just wants to calm things down here. Fair play to Hartpury. Still lifting that defensive line, even though this one is long gone. They've conceded 7.
Yeah, great collision there from Jordan Liney. They've got a lot of pride. They're not going to roll over.
Evasive manoeuvres there. Seen some ways to get out of the pass. It still hasn't gone dead. Nobody wants to hear you man of the match. Will Eli Caven kick it dead this time? No, he'll try and go round Folk.
What?
Referee keeping Exeter onside as they close in on a mammoth victory. 45-14. It's first versus third in the league. Now Kieran Kelly tries to put the afterburners on. Gets around the first defender and then finds the pass as well. This will be a wonderful try if they can finish it. Alex Forrester will. He goes under the sticks. It's too little, too late for Hartpury. And they've gone quickly with the conversion as well. Just a little glimpse of what makes them brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. Robbie Smith's a really dangerous runner, and he spotted the space really well there. And the follow-up support was key to finish that off.
Another look at this.
It's Alex Forrester.
I didn't see that.
On his shoulder.
There's Forrester on the shoulder. Still had a lot of work to do. It's a bit of a mismatch there. But while we wait for the game to restart, let's have your Yoti man of the match.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's such a dominant performance by Exeter. I think it's got to go to one of them. And with so many individual performances around, there's some tough calls to make. But I think for me, it's Paul Schroeter. He's put in some mammoth hits, and his work rate's phenomenal. He turned over the odd line out, and he scored 2 tries. So could have gone to any number of Exeter players, but mainly because I want to make Paul sing on the bus on the way home, and also a fantastic performance. Paul Schroeter is the Yoti man of the match.
Well, I won't be making him sing after the match, but we will be presenting him with the Yoti medal after a massive shift on a monumental evening for EURFC. They're 45-21 up against Hartpury. They've got a scrum in the Hartpury half as the clock ticks towards 80 minutes here.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
And can they get the 50 points? The icing on the cake. Bazalgette waits at first receiver. Oh, massive collision.
Hartpury will be hunting a bonus point here.
And we've got the penalty as well. Strange old game, isn't it? You're 23 points down, but you can still get something from the match. Do love the bonus points.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the game. But no, I mean, you're in this position at Hartpury now. You've got to change your objectives. You've got to be realistic, and the win's definitely gone. But a 4-try bonus point would be a bit of a silver lining.
I'm receiving news that it is still 23-7 to Bath with 5 minutes remaining. So Cardiff Met coming unstuck in their chase for the league.
9, stay back.
Bliney finds his man. It's scrappy, but it gets there eventually. We can see the droplets of rain on the lens as the conditions really have taken a turn here. They were ideal for the time of year a little bit earlier as Caven wears a big contact there. Max Clementson, scorer of a try in the first half. He adds his weight. Short ball there for Johnson. Runs into trouble. A few big men out there for Hartpury.
Release 18!
Our clock's on 79 minutes. Remember, we did have that big long delay though, so not entirely sure where the referee's clock's at as Robbie Smith tries to put some footwork in, but
yeah, the clock in the corner is saying 7 minutes, so I think it's a bit longer than you see on your screens right now.
There's a little scramble there from Jack Combs. Has looked a live wire, hasn't had a lot to do given Exeter have had so much ball and done so well with it. Attempt at the dab through there from Paul Morgan. Hasn't really come off for him this evening. It's been quite a high risk game from the 10 that's been drafted in this evening. If it comes off, then it's very impressive, but Exeter just pushing the envelope there. They want that 50 points. And that is full time. Well, the clocks have been all over the place, but given the injury situation, that's no surprise, but it is all about the result, and that is about as conclusive as Exeter could have made it this evening. 7 tries, a bonus point victory, and that's the full-time score. Hartpury 21, Exeter 45. Silencel, you're about as neutral can be, but I'm sure Hartpury won't mind you talking about how impressive that Exeter performance was this evening.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, they're Exeter trying to look composed, but they'll be absolutely buzzing off that. They won't want to, they haven't won anything yet. That's it's just one game, but to come here with this rivalry, this league position, this ground, and after what happened at Topsham, after what's happened in the last couple of years, as I say, they're looking composed, but they're going to be flying off the walls in that changing room, and they'll be enjoying themselves tonight. Conversely, Hartpury will be gutted. I don't think they were expecting that. I don't think Exeter were expecting that, they'll be shocked, but they'll bounce back.
Here are the scores from round 15. Leeds Beckett go from strength to strength. Surely they've nailed down 7th place now and they will be in the playoffs. It's looking almost impossible for Trent. Cardiff continue that great form. They were ahead against Loughborough, who had a fight back again, but just like Northumbria, it was too little too late for the African Violet. Now they're really up against it for that top 8 spot.
It's purple. It's purple, not African Violet. I can't let you go with that.
It's like the Pantone, isn't it?
Sorry for interrupting, but
I bet your house decoration's boring. Cardiff Met 7, Bath 23. The Archers off target. They'll still be in second place because, of course, there've been no points picked up here for Hartpury this evening, but their grip is well and truly off the league. And in fact, Bath have gone into the top 4 as well. Northumbria down to 5th. Cardiff up into 8th. Now that might seem, if you're new to BUCS Super Rugby and you think, oh, what's he so excited about? A league that is this competitive, for a team to come in from a division below and to turn over some of the sides they have, they are making a great account of themselves in this league. And if they manage to get in the top 8 and they manage to get a playoff spot, admittedly they'll have to travel down to Topsham, which I don't think they'll fancy too much, but that'll be a brilliant achievement from them.
Yeah, massive. I think in your first year in BUCS Super Rugby, you've just got to be realistic and keep working, keep believing in your process, keep training hard, and you will pick up wins, and your quality will naturally catch up. And it's good to see a side that's new to the league picking up some wins and doing well for themselves.
Tell you what, if the league stays as it is, Cardiff Met against Leeds Beckett is going to be an unbelievable quarter-final. Do stick with us. We'll be bringing you an interview with the man of the match, Paul Scroter, and the winning coach, Keith Fleming, following some highlights from the previous round.
Before Christmas, is it pretty much from you? Same again tonight from the boys?
It's going to be a real tough game. Both teams are going to go for it now. Sharp end of the season. Last block of 6 games. Everybody's going to go flat out.
You've got a few key players missing for you tonight. Who have you got stepping up for the team instead?
We've still got one or two boys who are on the injury list. Goes with the territory. We just got to keep working away. We'll get them back at some stage.
And just quickly on that try, disappointing. Obviously, you'd see that one go over the defensive line.
Yeah, that will happen. I'm not too worried about it at the moment. We're sort of only 15 minutes into the game. It's the early stages of an arm wrestle. You know, there's a long time to go.
Keith, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Will Hollis stepping in at first receiver a number of times in this play. But the back row linking up nicely there, 6-7. McMiken. Before Luke Northmore, the man we've mentioned a couple of times, the man who set up the first try, picks off a floating pass in the midfield. And in a flash, Cardiff Met have 2 tries. They're 12 points to 3 up, a kick to come. And staring down the barrel of an 11-point lead. Just squeezed the pass out when it wasn't on. Northmore sniffed it out. And he had a clear run under the sticks by despairing Will Gibson.
Keep it up! Keep it up!
His job is now to keep his props in as the Met elbow goes on the floor. But Exeter choose to pass it. Hollis carries heavily through the middle. But he's dragged down 2 metres short. Another carry from the forwards. Thompson's in there. He goes over the top. It's going to be another forward carry. They're aiming for that post. We see Exeter Chiefs do it weekend in, weekend out. Is there something in the water in Devon that we're going to see Exeter University do the very same to their Welsh neighbours? The crowd try and cheer Cardiff Met's defence on to repel this Exeter onslaught. But they're remaining composed. They squared across a bit more, and there is the try finally. Pierre Thompson, he lets his forwards do the grunt work, do the dirty work, and then takes the glory himself. But they won't care because they have their first try of the game, and with the kick to come, it could be Cardiff Met 14, Exeter 13.
Tackler release! Release tackler!
Ball's out the back. What pressure Exeter are under. It goes right. A dummy over the top. One bounce. Collected by the winger. An offload. And Tom Benjamin gets across the line into the right corner. And that's the reply that the home side were looking for, and takes the score to Cardiff Met 19, Exeter 13.
Lethal from an offload again from Met.
Well, they were patient. They wanted to go wide. They tried to go wide a number of times. It was Northmore on the crash in the middle. They think they've got over. There's a cry of yes, but no, it's still short. The referee's down on his haunches. Can he see the ball down? Yes, he can.
Try time.
He awards it after a slow, long deliberation. Picks the ball out amongst the massive players. What a crucial one it is. Jack Arthur claims it superbly.
Fall back around!
And they've got momentum on the drive. It's
he's taking that down himself.
But it's still up, and they've still got a chance to get it across. The arms go aloft, and the referee has given it. That is the bonus point try, and that puts Cardiff Met back into the lead once more. It was a heap of bodies down there, but you could tell immediately from the reaction from the home side that it was a try, and it looks like it's the replacement. Sean Howard, first throw of the night, first naming by the commentary team, and it's a try, a crucial one at that.
Yeah, it looked like it had collapsed there, but they did well to shuffle it round to the left and keep them all going and dots it down in the corner.
The Archer's over, and they've got that initial momentum, they've got that nudge, it's travelling in the right direction. The armour of advantage is out. Thompson picks it up, can he get over? No, he can't, he's just short. Advantage still being played. All the Exeter forwards clustering around the ball like bees to the honey. but can they get across for that sweet, sweet try that's going to take them into the lead, surely?
It's over the line, no. That's held up, that's held up.
Johnson gets his just desserts, having been denied only moments before. Like a ginger ninja, he snipes across the line and gives Morley a kick in front of the sticks to give Exeter a 26-27 advantage.
A very stealthy ginger ninja, I should say.
Very much so. Battling furiously. Met. They're showing adventure and offload, but it goes loose. Exeter have the ball.
Yes, that's clear. Back.
Thompson passes back to Morley, who puts it into the stand. The referee blows his whistle, and Exeter have squeaked the narrowest of victories down in the Welsh capital.
Before Christmas, is it pretty much from you? Same again tonight from the boys?
Time. What a remarkable performance. 7 tries, you put the ghosts of that away defeat to bed. Are you happy?
I'm better than I was. We've definitely moved on, and you know, several of the boys out there today put in a real shift. So as I told you before, we look to performance, and we're moving down that road, so it's good.
But 7 tries away from home. We mentioned before the match you've got a few key players missing. Hopefully they'll be able to come back in towards the end. But you're top of the league now. Cardiff Met drop points as well. It's a 10-point gap between you and second place. I don't expect you to commit to it now, but surely you can close in and take this league.
You know, we're in with a chance. We've got to perform in every single game now, right to the end of the league season. We're in with a chance, and it'll be down to us to try and make the most of it.
We'll bring the man of the match in a second, but before we do, there were standout performances all around the place. It could have gone to any one of the forwards. The halfbacks were great as well. Who impressed you for your lot this evening?
I thought Sam Morley at 10 did control the game really well. Some of our tactical kicking was good, especially off 9, but the forwards, they put in a real shift. They really did front up. Some of the carries were really, really good.
The response after the yellow card as well, going down to 14 and coming out of that 10-minute period, 7 points to the good.
Yeah, no, it showed a bit of character there. I haven't seen the tape yet, but you know, I'd like to have a look at it. But the boys responded very well and stood up and managed to keep it all out.
Quite important for you though to keep the boys level-headed. When we watch them play so well, it's difficult to remember that they are a young team. They're all students. They've got other commitments as well, and I'm sure there'll be a few of them who will get carried away after such a great performance.
The boys, you know, game day, win or lose, is always they will always go out and celebrate one way or the other. So you know, game day's their night off. They'll go for it, have a lot of fun. But Thursday the harness will come back on and we'll move on again.
Well, 4 games to go for you, all at home, and we wish you the very best. But let's bring in the Yoti man of the match now. Paul Scroter, we're going to talk to you about whether you scored a try or not in a second, but firstly I'll allow Keith to present you with the medal. Fantastic performance this evening. So let's come in here and have a chat. A couple of war wounds on the face. Yeah. It was a good scoreline for your lot, but a tough old evening.
Hartpury, I mean, everyone knows that Hartpury hate us, and we knew that when we come down here they were going to give a top performance, so just buzzing that we got the W.
Well, Si Linsell was very excited about all the stuff that went on in the set piece. Quick question, did you get the try?
Yes. I mean, we know there's all these techniques to defend them all. I went up, saw that they stood off, so I kept the ball, and I guess just lucky enough to get the ball down.
And that show and go just before half time as well, that's some of the highlights,
yeah.
Real.
Bit surprised to get through there, caught shoulder in the ribs, but got up, but yeah.
Great stuff. So 4 games to go, they're all at home, you can't get carried away. I heard how composed you all were in the post-match chat there, but 10 points clear at the top of the league. The omens are good for back-to-back leagues.
Yes, it's looking good, but obviously we've got to keep our heads. 4 home games is nice, it's very nice, done on our away games now, and just take game at a time, and hopefully bring it home.
You're also media trained. What about the bus trip home this evening?
Well, it's going to be a big one. I'm excited. Very excited. Yeah, we all got our booze and going out tonight will be class.
Well, behave yourselves. Congratulations. You're the OC man of the match. 4 games to go, and the very best of luck. Silence up. He's with Keith Fleming, as I'd expect him to do. Great. You have been entirely unbiased this evening, and you've still got so much in your old ticker there for Exeter. You're part of the Hartpury, but cast all that aside because your old boys were absolutely sensational this evening.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault them. They were brilliant today. Set piece, I think, I was a bit concerned, from a Hartpury point of view, I was a bit hopeful that their scrum might get on top, but Exeter dealt well with that. Driving line went well, pick and go went well, and they didn't just dominate them up front, they also had a bit of firepower outside them, and the dam sort of broke at around 50 minutes and Exeter really capitalised.
Now, couldn't get anything out of Keith or Scroats, but with Cardiff Met dropping points, with Hartpury having to play Cardiff Met next week, and with Exeter 10 points to the good, surely that's the league done and dusted.
If you're a betting man, which I'm not, you probably would say yes, but as I say, 4 home games with a 10 point buffer, you couldn't ask to be in a better position, but that still doesn't mean it's a dead cert. A couple of losses and it closes right up. So as I say, your bets probably would be on Exeter right now, but Keith's gone, but he'd probably have a word to say if I said they're a dead cert. So.
Well, you are impartial to the end, but thank you for your company this evening. Hopefully you join us again soon. If not on the live show, then we'll get you on the podcast. Great to have you on board Silence, and good luck for the rest of the season with Hartpury as well. We are back next week. It is going to be a serious encounter back here at the Gilmans. It's Hartpury versus Cardiff Met. Both of them need a victory if they're going to have any chance of lifting the silverware, but it is advantage Exeter, the performance of the season, to cement their place at the top of the tree. Until next week, goodbye.
It was so much easier because I had already set up on the app about 3 months ago actually when it first came to the island.
I really like how simple it was to use.
It's the kind of convenience we want in this holidays that we live in.
You don't really want to carry your passport around on night out, you're always going to have a phone on you.
The convenience to be able to go up and get my phone and just scan a thing.
It's just easier, you have all your stuff in one place.
It makes life a lot easier when you're trying to prove your age and quite versatile as well.